A very warm welcome everyone to Sydney Parade, Pembroke Cricket Club's home for day 2 of the festival here in Dublin. This is our final festival of 4. We have 2 days left of the tournament, and this morning we have the Munster Reds are taking on the Northern Knights. Munster Reds coming from the pavilion, as you can see on the screen there. Northern Knights are coming from their tent, which is situated on the other side of the ground, so you can see both sides coming in from different angles. But the Northern Knights have won the toss earlier on today, and they have decided to bowl first this morning. Conditions, well, a little bit chilly still, but the sun, as you can see, is out, so looking forward to another great day's T20 cricket here in Ireland, with, as I say, the Munster Reds against the Northern Knights this morning, and the Warriors taking on the champions Lightning this afternoon. So all set for a good game this morning, once again, and as usual, for the... I'm going to try and tell how many days have we been doing now. This is now the 11th day of 12. Welcome along to Isabel Joyce.
Yeah, you're going to miss me after this week, Abby.
Definitely.
What are you going to do? Who are you going to talk to? Who's going to listen to you like I do?
There's not many.
Well, hopefully people at home are listening, and they haven't got us on mute. I'll blame you for that if they do. Munster Reds lost the toss, batting first, and interesting to see it's two right-handers, Swapnil Modgill and Stephen Doheny, who have come out because they we've got a little bit of a teething problem where the circle hasn't been marked.
This is one of those ones for a program we used to have in the question of sport, which had what happened next. Yep. Stop it, and you'd say what happened next. Well, we've no discs out. Very hurriedly, you can see a couple of the ground staff running around there.
Former Ireland under-19 cricketer Daniel Forkin doing the job. But yeah, two right-handers coming out, and last week they started with a left-right hand combination to try and combat Matthew Humphrey's left arm spin. He often bowls first. In fact, I think every game he's bowled first over. Not today. It's going to be Tom Mays, it looks like, with the new ball. As a little bit of cat and mouse going on. They might have decided, right, we're going to keep back the left arm spin because it's going to be a left-right combination, and then Munster Reds have sent out two right-handers.
Yeah, they not only sent out the two left-hand, right-hand combination last week, but then at the end of the first wicket they sent in John McNally as well to keep that going. So yeah, it could be something that they've looked at, but it could also be the aspect of what we looked at yesterday in terms of Matthew Humphreys, and maybe they're looking him to change up to today and maybe bowl him in the middle overs again and just go seam up top. We'll see, but Tom Mays, as you say, is going to take the ball to start with, and we'll check out the rest of the power play as it moves along. But yeah, interesting start here. So Tom Mays starts his run up to Swapnil Modgill.
Good bit of bounce to start off with. That's the shot that he played to get out yesterday. Swapnil Modgill hasn't made him put it back in the locker.
No, definitely not. Very similar to the opening shot he played yesterday before he got out. A little bit of a fish outside the off. And Barry McCarthy got him in a little bit quicker ball through the keeper, so you're right, he hasn't overnight decided, oh, it's not the one for me.
And back in the same area again. So the two fielders out, deep square and point. And I don't know what was going on there, but Matthew Humphreys, in between the first ball and the second ball, sprinted to the sideline, I think getting some sunglasses, and just about made it back into the circle in time for it to not be a no ball.
Yeah, looks like a few of field to prepare today, let's put it that way. Matthew, no sunglasses on. It is quite bright out there, which we're glad to see.
Yeah, it hasn't warmed up in here yet, but I think it probably is warm out there when you're in the sunshine.
So Doheny to face his first delivery. Lines from Mays there. Yeah, I just maybe whispered a little bit quietly, but since we were in Cork and witnessed that 150, record breaking 150, hasn't really kicked on
No.
Stephen Doheny.
Made 140, and then aside from that, it's been pretty low scores actually. Always looks good. He made 35 after that 150. Just played 2 games the first day. He won't have the gloves on today, which I think he'll be relieved about. He had a tough day with the gloves on yesterday. So Cian Hilton back in the team for the Munster Reds, and Bachtir Nabi back in as well. Ollie Riley and Curtis Camphor, the 2 players missing out. So just hope that Curtis Camphor hasn't suffered another injury to that finger. Northern Knights unchanged after that loss yesterday to the Northwest Warriors. Oh dear, right through. Stephen Doheny plays across one. That is the middle stump tumbling. I think he'll have to watch that back. He's not quite sure what's happened. Yep, that stump really is on the ground. An early wicket for Munster Reds. Stephen Doheny's underwhelming run of form continues, and the Northern Knights get an early one.
Yeah, I think that picture on your screen there says more words than I can really. Just dragging the bat behind him. He looks completely disconsolate. He's even just looking back at the wicket, and I don't think he's really sure what happened, and he might be checking back on this because he's not sure how he missed it. But straight ball, full, just really hits that middle of middle. And Stephen Doheny, as you can see there, he still hasn't made it off the field as yet, so it's a long walk back today, and he goes for naught. The Munster Reds lose an early one again.
Yeah, 2 for 1, and I actually want to see the angle from behind again, because that one you can't see if there's any swing that might have contributed. His guard is on leg stump, so he's given room to Tom Mays. It's just a little shift across. It's a little bit of shape in, yeah, and just played around it. Stephen Doheny, hand on the hip, he went for the teapot straight away there.
Yeah, there was a little bit of in movement there, but that was kind of exacerbated by the fact that he played around it a little bit as well. But hit the middle of middle. PJ Moore in now, and that maybe is more what he's disappointed. You don't often see the middle of middle getting hit. No. Sometimes the off or leg, but that was the middle of middle, and you know it took a long time for him to walk off. I think. He was just astonished.
If he'd gone to play that down the ground, I think he would have absolutely whacked it, but he tried to play it to leg. So I think he didn't pick up the line, or maybe because of the movement in, he's had to adjust and kind of come across the line of it. PJ Moore, the new man in. Testing out the middle of the pitch. Tom Mays, a really good first over this from him. The wicket and a single and a wide, and after one. Ooh.
Yeah, he's given a wide. I thought he'd given a wide.
Oh.
I was watching square leg. It wasn't a very demonstrative signal from Mark Hawthorne at square leg, but eventually it is called.
I think that's harsh.
I think it is harsh, yeah.
That looked very close to PJ Moore to me.
I think he ducked below it, so I think that's why it may have been harsh. Here's that extra delivery. No runs. It's going to be not too much of a problem for the Knights, and good over from Mays, obviously benefiting with that little bit of in shape to get rid of Doheny. Just the 3 runs from it. Munster Reds 3 for 1. A bit of chat there from Philippe Laru and John McNally with Ireland's bowling coach Ryan Eagleson, who's in with the Munster Reds for this tournament. So our little theory gets binned, Isabel, because Matthew Humphreys is going to take the second over, and he's not going to bowl exclusively in the middle overs of the game.
Yeah, I wonder what prompted that change, because they've just swapped around, haven't they? First and second overs swapped around.
That's worked anyway, because they've taken a wicket, not gone for many in that first over, so Humphreys is going to bowl opposite ends today. Slip in.
Oh. Swipe from Swapna and Modgill. He's found it difficult to get into the spinners in this competition. Long off out. Long on comes in.
Yeah, just a little bit of indecision there. Just even that split second of indecision puts you in a bad position to play the shot.
That's a good shot though. Played the same shot, just sat up for Swapna and Modgill, cracked through the offside for the first boundary for Munster Reds.
Yeah, just a little bit more width from Humphreys. Modgill made his mind up a little bit quicker there. He's able to get on top of the bounce and play it through the gap. So first boundary for the Reds.
I think slower through the air is a good idea, but you need to make sure that the batters are coming forward. Just too much time there for Swapna and Modgill.
And the opposite way, too full this time.
Yeah, missed out.
He'll be disappointed there. Could have gone back to back. Lots of space out there. He beats Mays.
Just looking back in the game yesterday, the Northern Knights lost to Northwest Warriors. I think they'll want to improve their fielding. Big area that you can change from day to day. They didn't really back up their bowlers. There were lots of twos, albeit Jake Egan's brilliant between the wickets, but they definitely gave away some runs in the field.
Yeah, look, I know it's difficult, whereas as I mentioned earlier, we're 2 days out from the end of the 4-week festivals, and be a little bit of lethargy or fatigue maybe getting into the players, getting here, but at the end of the day, it's still a tournament, still cricket to be played, and every day's a new day. I'd just like to see a little bit of energy from them today.
Oh dear. PJ Moore just shifts his weight on the back foot, looks to punch through the offside. I didn't miss the leg stump by much.
Yeah, look a little bit stuck there. Again, that same thing we were talking about earlier, a little bit of indecision as to come forward or back. Really did neither, and at the end of the day, immediately, he was probably going to change the field anyway. It's what he does. He brings up long on into the circle and puts out a deep point. Get one.
Yeah, I think it was supposed to go to that fielder, but PJ Moore just getting kind of a thick edge on that. So a good start from the left arm spinner. Humphreys goes for 6, and after 2, Munster Reds quite sedate, 9 for 1.
Yeah, just a boundary ball there, and not over. Otherwise, very decent stuff from Humphreys. Yeah, look, I'd just like to see a little bit more energy in the field. As we talked about yesterday, you know, I'm used to seeing that from Carmichael, but his sort of energy in the field to be brought to the other players, not just for the Knights. You know, 2 teams, the Reds and the Warriors as well. Pretty much seen that from the Lightning from day 1, well, day 2 maybe. Mays to continue. That'll be 1.
Yeah, I think, and I know you're alluding to the fact that the team changed a lot for Leinster Lightning, but even day 1, yes, it was some players who we haven't seen since then, but they had a lot of pride in their fielding on that first day, I thought.
There's that man, Carmichael, swinging round. Keeps that down to 1, exactly what you're talking about. Not the greatest of throws though, and he apologises to Neil Rock, who accepts. But yeah, you know, it's just a thing we always look at in cricket. The outfielding is just a microcosm of what's happening in the team. You always look at if you're up and at it, good body language in the field. Just like to see that a little bit today.
Well, it's something you talk about as not really needing that much talent. Yes, some people are more naturally gifted at fielding than others, but it's about the effort. they were definitely put under some pressure in the field yesterday by the Northwest Warriors, and I mean some of the time you can't cut off that too, but there were definitely errors that came in.
Yeah, for sure. You can't control what's running between the wickets, but you can control what you're doing. That's another bouncer. This one is accepted by Hawthorne. One for the over. But yeah, you can always do the best that you can in the field and show the two runners between the wickets. It just got to the stage yesterday where I think Egan was just saying, I can get two pretty much everywhere here.
Yeah. Definitely two different runners here, though. I don't think PJ Moore will be getting up and down quite as quickly as Jake Egan in particular. That had good pace, didn't it, from Tom Mays? He's up and about.
Yeah, good carry from Mays through the rock. Sort of what we looked at yesterday. I was looking forward to seeing Mays yesterday afternoon, and it didn't come off for him yesterday. Went for a few. Thought the surface would suit him, but new day, and as you say, maybe reflected on that overnight, and he's come out today and just gone from 5 from his first 11.
Leading the attack here for the Northern Knights. A little dab again, so I think that sedate start continues for the Munster Reds. 4 coming from that over, 3 gone, 13 for 1.
Yeah, fairly becalmed start for the Reds, and kind of the conundrum that they've got themselves into, that when they go hard they tend to lose wickets and then have to regroup. We've seen McNally and Laru having to carry out rescue missions throughout the tournament.
Not yesterday, 2 ducks
well,
for those
today,
two. Yeah, they can't do it every time, can they?
Yeah, unfortunately they got blitzed in the middle of a Doheny storm yesterday. And lots of talk about that, which is good overnight, about Delaney's over yesterday. Triple wicket maiden if you missed it. You don't get those too often.
Yeah, 6. It was the 6th over as well, wasn't it, of the power play? So 6th over, you're used to players looking to take you down. It was very much the other way around. Sean Davies into the attack. Sean Davey, I should say. He was expensive yesterday, Davey, not for 45. He was one of the only bowlers, though, that was happy to take the pace off and bowl his slower balls, with mixed results.
Mixed results, yeah.
He said, I think 2 slower balls in a row on this surface, you can't really do that, because the batters line you up and it does sit up a little bit. You need the element of surprise in there.
Yeah, the other one, you mentioned about that triple wicket maiden, the other one in that over was the guy who's facing now, PJ Moore. He got a bit of a rocket from Delaney, swing, cleaned him up yesterday. That was the start of the 3 wickets in the over. Yeah, it was a pretty quick delivery, Delaney, and as I say, it was swinging a little bit for him yesterday, so put those 2 together. It's pretty difficult, but he's a rough old trot of a tournament. PJ Murray would like to try and end it on a high today and tomorrow.
It doesn't look comfortable, does he, PJ Moore? He was getting throwdowns from coach Jeremy Bray before the game. It just doesn't quite look himself at the moment.
Yeah, we were talking yesterday about the feet not really moving in T20 cricket a lot. A lot of people play from where they stand, but his movements just don't look fluid at the minute.
When you think of that innings last year against Zimbabwe in the test match, his footwork was so good. Oh dear, that was nearly a catch. I think it surprised Adam Kennedy there, who went quite late, managed to get a hand to it, but that's a drop catch from him. Maybe that's the little kickstart that PJ Moore needs.
Well, we often say that when you're not in form, the luck doesn't go with you. I saw Ruben Wilson take a blinder in that over yesterday. That, I would say, was a little bit easier than that catch that Wilson took, but He did get a hand to it, and I think you're right, a little bit of surprise, and sometimes when you're in that position, you do kind of have to anticipate the ball coming to you. Even when it doesn't, you've got to be ready for it because it's blind a little bit.
What's going on here? I think he's suffered an injury as well to add insult to injury. Adam Kennedy going off. Carson McCullough, I think, on his 12th there. It was his left hand, so
yeah,
hopefully it's not going to have any impact on his ability to bowl today.
Yeah, white ball. Down the leg side, just taking a quick look at Adam Kennedy. He's just gone in, not too far in. He hasn't gone into the changing rooms. He's just standing at the door. So he'll be needed to bowl. So they'll be looking to get him back out there.
That little punch from PJ Moore, not effective. He needs to maybe try and angle it better into square, into that gap and point.
Yeah, just that shot that he's played a couple of times in this over, it does kind of take you back to that test match. It looks like a test knock, you know, just play the ball out, and if it runs into a gap, you're not actually looking to rotate and find a gap, even when playing defensively.
And finishes the over with a massive swipe. PJ Moore, all that patience was running out. A good over for Davies. 4 from it, and after 4, Munster really need to think about how they can get this innings going. 17 for 1.
Yeah, quick injury update. And Kennedy is back on the field, and indeed hands his cap to the umpire. So it may have been a just drop the catch, get me off the field for 5 minutes, because he's on straight away and is going to be given the ball.
You need to use those binoculars and see is there any padding on that left hand of Adam Kennedy. I'm not for 18 from 2 yesterday, but he bowled okay, I thought.
Yeah. Doesn't look to have any extra tape or anything on either hand there at the moment, so looks to be okay.
Maybe you got the magic spray. Short one to start, just punched by Swapnil Modgill. He's been watching for the other end, from the other end, as PJ Moore has struggled somewhat. Even the body language there from PJ Moore is just a bit too quiet for me. Why not jump up and down, just try and kickstart something? Looks too relaxed in some ways.
Again, go back to, it looks like in the middle of a test match here where there's not much happening and you've got all day to bat, and it's just a feeling you get here at the minute.
Well, there you go.
There we are.
He's
must be listening.
Practiced the shot last over. It's come off this one into the pitch from Kennedy, and PJ Moore opens the shoulders. First 6 of the innings, and my goodness, how they needed it.
Well, yep. Got the length that he wanted, and as you say, practiced that the last over. Gets it all the way. So is that the kickstart now? Much needed for the Reds.
A little bunt to mid off. Gets the skates on PJ Moore, so a little break in between overs was all he needed to figure things out and figure out a way to get the ball into the gap rather than just allowing it to hit the bat.
Yeah, because that was very similar. Seen just defending it to the feet, but this time he's able to punch it for the single.
It's an interesting couple of days for Northern Knights and Northwest Warriors, because there's only 1 point between them at the moment in the table. Oh dear, has he managed to find the fielder? No. Yeah, only 1 point between them. Northern Knights losing yesterday and allowing a bit of a gap for the Northwest Warriors to come back. So they don't play each other again, obviously. If they both win today and tomorrow, it comes down to bonus points. So while the winner of the competition has been decided already, it's second place that's really being fought for, which makes it all the more interesting.
Yeah, yesterday's game crucial in terms of that. Short ball again, it's pulled in front of square. I don't think Callets will get there. He won't. Couple of bounces into the batting net. Adam Kennedy on the end of a couple of boundaries here, just releasing a little bit of pressure here that the Knights have got on the Reds.
You know, I was going to say, when you got the youngster, the player coming in, it can go one of two ways, and it can either be that the batting team can target him and make the runs, or they could target him and actually lose their wickets, but it's looking like the former rather than the latter. And another boundary, that's going to go all the way for 6, an expensive over after 3 tight ones. 2 6s and the 4 in the over, 18 from it. A very useful one for Munster Reds, 35 for 1 after 5.
Well, very much needed, as we said. Not a great deal happening in those first 4 overs. Not much energy about the Reds, and it often just takes 1 over in T20 cricket to just shift that momentum, and that might just be it. A couple of 6s and a 4. And quickly then, the run rate goes from just over 4 up to 7 now in that 1 over. And the last over of the power play looks to be going to be bowled by Kane Robertson. He's probably been, in terms of figures anyway, runs conceded, the best bowler for the Knights in their last couple of games. He went for 25 yesterday, I think.
The last time they played the Munster Reds, he was expensive. They went for 44 in 4 overs. Good start. Yeah, I think Adam Kennedy is a bowler who needs more protection at the moment. It's a tough skill, bowling to 2 fielders outside the ring. Bit of a hack there from PJ Moore. Another inside edge manages to get a single.
Yeah, we've mentioned that a few times in the tournament. There are some bowlers just suited to that task of bowling in a power play, and some aren't. You know, spinners maybe prefer. A little bit lucky there. PJ Moore gets the inside edge.
There's the big edge on the other side from Swapping and Modgill.
He'll get 4. PJ Moore just gets 1.
Yeah, he flashed a little bit harder, Swapping and Modgill.
Runs away for 4. Possibly a little bit fortunate, but they'll certainly take it now and beginning to get that scoreboard ticking.
Into the shins for Ross Adair.
Yeah, a little bit of a difficult one there, just on the bounce to him. Leg side boundary raiders.
Feels like the Northern Knights split. Everyone on the offside has something that everyone on the leg side doesn't have. Can you spot it?
Sunnies?
Nope.
Nope.
Long sleeves.
Long sleeves.
Yeah.
Wow. That goes leg side, so does the ball. And they do too, you're right.
Yeah, just took the pace off there, Kane Robertson, and actually it was a pretty good ball, but PJ Moore had decided he was going to have a swipe at this with only 2 fielders out. Not the stylish shot that we're used to seeing from him, but massive gap there with mid-on in. Mid-on now goes back, long off, comes in. Mid-wicket side as well, Kate Carmichael.
Yeah, back to the field.
Boundary.
Back to the field they had before that last ball. And go up. And is the arm coming? No.
I think that was off the pad, yeah.
Oh, it's not off anything. It's now giving us a wide. Well, goodness me. That's a strange one for me. Very confident, and even if it's not hitting the bat, the actual appeal would suggest that it's hit something. See it again now.
No.
Wow. Just a strange appeal then. If that's going to go for 4 as well. He's got that straight. So PJ Moore just starting to get going here. A couple of boundaries off Kennedy, and now a couple off Cian Robertson, who takes his cap. Not too happy.
Yeah, clears the front leg. PJ Moore, anything outside off, he's going to swat down the ground. First one went wide of mid-on. That one, he managed to wait a little bit longer and find the gap straight. Yeah. Well, we get the value of a couple of looks at this. Oh, I think that hit the pad, didn't it? A little bit of deviation. Definitely not out, and
definitely hit the pad. That's why I was so surprised, because it was a fairly, you get appeals down the leg side to try and con the umpire the odd time, but it was fairly genuine appeal that time, and that's why I was a little bit sort of nonplussed that it was given as a wide, and you could sort of see clearly that it did clip the thigh pad, but irrespective, it goes down as an extra. Yeah, Munster Reds have now moved to 50 from the power play. We didn't see that really. 33 from the last 2 overs. We've got them up to 50, and all of a sudden, after the last 12 balls, it's a reasonable start now for the Reds.
Yeah, 18 and 15 in the final 2 hours of Paris play. So we're getting a real feel for the pitch for a few hours. These two, they've put the foot down now. And Sean Davey comes back, changes ends, swapping on Modgill, yorks himself, and another stump goes tumbling. This time it's the off stump. Modgill got in, so he'll be frustrated that he got himself a start. He's got to 25 from 18, 3 boundaries, 1-6 in that, and he just picked the wrong one. 50 for 2.
He almost created his own downfall there. As you say, looked as if he'd yorked himself a little bit, taking an extra little step. There you go, down the wicket and just under the bat, so he did sort of york himself.
Yeah, that would have been absolutely in the slot if he'd stood still, wouldn't it?
It's just one of those things. If he'd stand still, then
that's the gamble.
Put him off his length, and it's a gamble, and it hasn't paid off. So Michael goes for 25, just as we're talking out of the power play. Knights will be delighted with that. And we're just starting to feel the pressure a little bit. That brings John McNally out to the crease, coming in at 4 today. He's ticking off the positions for the Reds really well here this tournament.
What's he been? 3?
3, 4, 5. Oh, I'm sure he's been 5 and 6. Definitely. I think maybe towards the start of the tournament.
Might have been 7.
Maybe even 7.
I don't care enough to really look it up, but he'll know.
He will know.
We can ask him after the game.
He will know.
I'm probably looking on the list in the change room every day. Other people, they don't have to look. They know their position. He's like, okay, what am I up to today? Off the mark after a duck yesterday, a rare occasion that John McNally hasn't scored for the Munster Reds.
Yeah, he's been very consistent. Often we say he had to sort of dig in quite a lot as well at times. But he's shown his ability when he has to try and score quicker. Yesterday just got, as we mentioned, part of that over.
He's found a good gap there, hasn't he, PJ Moore? That's the 3rd time he's got an inside edge. If he tried to do it, I'm not sure he could. There was a period of time there where Nat Silverbrunt used to play. They called it the Nutmeg.
Yeah, the Nutmeg, yeah.
She's put that away, I think, now.
I think it's a decent thing to put away. If you're trying to play the ball through your legs, it's
It
It's quite
seems to be
difficult.
just like the game's too easy if you're doing stuff
If you're
like
doing
that.
stuff like that, yeah.
Go and try something else. Oh, and that's an edge, but slower ball, so it doesn't carry to Neil Rock.
Yep. So that little 2-over period just seems a little bit of an anomaly in this game, because we're back to sort of looking. The pitch is difficult.
It's well and truly over, isn't it?
Out of the power play now, so they can sort of protect the bowlers a little bit more. Still quite a lot in now, obviously, with the new batter on strike.
PJ Moore needs to get going. Does a well-weighted shot from John McNally, but that wicket at the start of the over has really slowed things down. Just 3 singles in the over so far from Sean Davey. Just having a look over on the famed Pembroke wall. Seems like a day to come down and get some sun, doesn't it? It's going to be sunny all day and nice bit of warmth. That's a top edge, and Kate Carmichael coming in. It could be 2 for the over. Is 2 for the over. PJ Moore looking to get a boundary off the final ball of that over, and all he's managed to do is bookend it with wickets. Cleared the front leg, and yeah, just didn't come off for him. So PJ Moore, the third to go, 21 for him, and the fielding much better than yesterday for Northern Knights, backing up their bowler.
Yeah, looking to go much straighter than that. Didn't really get in a position to play it, and it's just come off the edge and has gone a long way up in the air. And the unfortunate thing for PJ Moore, that flight of it then gave Carmichael plenty of time to come in from the boundary. Didn't go flat off the edge, it went straight up pretty much, and gave Carmichael plenty of time to come in. And as you say, takes a comfortable catch there. So just as we were talking again, mentioned it time and time again, the Reds are starting to get going, and they've given up 2 wickets in that over. And it's once again the 999 call goes out for Laru and McNally.
Yeah, look, in a positive light, these two run well together, they bat well together. So outside the power play, at least it's outside the power play, is something they might say, but field spread, they might try and put pressure on those fielders in the deep on the square boundaries.
Yep. And as we talked about, looking at individually rather than as a team, getting their time in the middle, and they've done well. They can't do it all the time. We saw yesterday, both out for naught, but time to bat again. Plenty of overs, but straight back to Matthew Humphreys now for the Knights. He's their top wicket taker.
There's 4 fielders on the offside for John McNally. I haven't really seen a reverse sweep from him, so that might be why Matthew Humphreys looking to plug that gap in mid-wicket. He does have Ross Adair in there. We often see that empty for the spinners in particular.
Just happy to rotate at the moment. John McNally. So we've seen that quite a lot, where he's happy to just tick it over, particularly in the first 2 weeks of the tournament, where he read the pitch really well, didn't want to give his wicket away, sat in, and then caught up later on. Laru did something very similar against the Lightning at Belfast.
Now, just for me, Philippe Laru sometimes gets the line wrong, especially for bowlers drifting it in. He can plant the foot. He's so keen to defend it and so keen to not play an attacking shot early on. He almost gets his foot where the ball is pitching rather than beside it. So that's just something that, so he's been out LBW a few times, something that would worry me. little punch down the ground, and not the greatest effort from Matthew Humphreys, it has to be said.
Yeah. Just hung out of foot, really. You get the hand down. If that was under 11, you might be saying, use your hands, please.
Simon Johnson, somewhere around the ground, is shaking his head, I'm sure.
Yeah, a little bit more air that time from Humphreys. Uses his boundary rider. So just the one again. 4 singles.
I wonder what Chris Bryan, the spin bowling coach, who's also with the Northern Knights, wonder what he said to the spinners after yesterday. Does he only speak to the Northern Knights spinners, or is he putting his Cricket Ireland hat on and talking to all of them?
Yeah, it's an interesting point. We talked about that a little bit yesterday. I'll probably get to that in between overs. Will just be one. He'll be a little bit more energetic in his fielding now, Matthew Humphreys, and keeps that down to 1. So at the end of the 8th over, Munster Reds 58 for 3. Yeah, you mentioned that. You were talking about the analyst yesterday, saying about, he's analysing every team and how we could use that to pinpoint weaknesses in the opposition, which then conversely talks about the opposition, where you could say, well, look, you've got to rectify that. So same thing, Chris Bryan, spin bowler, is he going over to Ben White and saying, like, what was the condition, how did you bowl yesterday, etc., etc.
Or is he talking to his batters and saying he's going to try and do this? So
it's a bit of a conundrum, really. You're helping out one while telling the other how to counteract it, but that's what it's about. We're trying to develop players as well.
For a spin bowling coach, I suppose you want batters to challenge them so they can learn in games. Ross Adair gets his 2nd bowl of the tournament.
Yeah, this is the role I'd sort of seen for Ross Adair, sort of bowling in between 8 and 12, bowling a couple of overs maybe, sneaking through in certain situations.
Yeah, started out with 2 dots, very useful. John McNally may be a little bit surprised to see him.
And that's the point I'm making. If he just comes on, you think, oh, Ross Adair, you're sort of geared up for Humphreys and Carmichael. It's not Carmichael, sorry, Robertson. Certainly not Carmichael.
You're saying a dream. You're dreaming now.
Sort of the 2 left arm spinners, Robertson and Humphreys. You're geared up for what they're going to do, and then sort of Ross Adair comes on and he is different.
Well, maybe that's why they left him till the last festival. They didn't want people lining him up by bowling him earlier in the festival and leave him short at the end.
If you remember in Cork, they started off with 3 left arm spinners. Carson McCulloch was in the team as well. 3 left arm spinners. And they lost Matthew Foster. It's on the sweep. There's a chance.
Oh, down.
And he's downed it. Well, those fielding woes continue for the Northern Knights. Got in position there. Morgan Topping looked to have taken the catch, but on contact it just bobbled out. It'll be disappointing. You're talking about Simon Johnson will be looking around about fielding. Just those little things, really. That pays the price now. It's not the same batter, but that goes for a boundary. That should have been a wicket for Ross Adair off the penultimate ball. And it goes for 4, the last one.
Yeah, those are really tough, those chances. I will say those flat catches on the boundary, never comfortable, but it should have been taken and just too wide. John McNally had seen enough from Ross Adair. Is that given as a 4? Was that a 4?
I think it bounced just inside the boundary.
I need to get my eyes checked. But yeah, it's disappointing for Ross Adair. Not only did he not get a wicket, his last ball went for a boundary, and it would have been a new batter facing had that catch been taken. PJ Moore was dropped on 2. He went on to make 21. How many can Philippe Laru add?
Keane Robertson is going to replace Humphreys from Zandari. That's outside the off stump. There is the coaching staff walking around the boundary there, and I mentioned to you a little bit earlier, pulls out. About the warm-ups, and it's a really easy, flippant kind of thing to say at warm-ups, but wasn't the greatest energy in the night's warm-ups. A few sort of long catches were dropped. It's 2 dummies from Kane Robertson.
Oh, yeah, Philippe Laru moving around in his stance. So Robertson deciding to pull out. Seems to be a left-arm bowling fraternity
most
in
definitely.
the Northern Knights.
I was just about to say that. These two have been at each other the last 2 days. Little story in a minute. Yeah,
So the gap in point.
Yesterday Humphreys was bowling later on in the innings, and Kane Robertson was down at the long on, and he bowled 2 or 3 balls in the over, and he said, "Come on, great start, Humph." And Humphreys turned around and said, "It's not a great start. I was absolutely rubbish in my first 2 overs." He was talking about his overs, whereas Robertson was talking about the actual over he was bowling in. So there's definitely a bit of a thing between these two.
Yeah, and we might be here all day if this continues. I'd be interested to know what's been said there. Because if it's you have to stand still, it's I'm not sure you can say that, can you?
Not really. Well, we had that a few years back in Test cricket, I think it was, when Kevin Peterson was constantly turning around to bat left-handed, and I think the umpires told him he couldn't do it after a while. I don't think he was best pleased about that.
Finally gets that shot away. Philippe Laru. It's sat up nicely for Morgan Topping. For me, I think I just wonder, could Philippe Laru come back there? Don't think that the throw off balance is going to make it right over the top or hit the stumps. And that's what we saw from Jake Egan yesterday. And if you're taking the second as well, that adds that pressure to the fielder. We saw that when that pressure was added, the fielders weren't able to stand up to the challenge.
Beaten. McNally, that ends the over, but bit of a long over for a left arm spinner. It took a long time. There's about 12 deliveries in it nearly. But we get through it, and there's your card. Doheny went in the first over for naught. A little bit of a recovery towards the end of the power play between Modgill and Moore, but they've gone now as well. Sean Davey with both of those wickets, and again it's McNally and Laru out there on 10 and 4 respectively. Bowling figures there. 1 over from Adam Kennedy. Went for 18, was followed up by another expensive over from Robertson. Tom Mays, he's just gone for 6 in his 2. Matthew Humphreys now, it's his turn.
Yeah, it's kind of a choice between Ross Adair and Adam Kennedy, I think, and I think with the 2 youngsters, they might look for death by spin.
Bit seems that way now, just changing it up. Matthew Humphreys just decided to join in. It's his
that's
standard.
Frustrating for Philippe Laru because he didn't move, and he's the one who's been told he's not to be moving around. Nice little reverse sweep makes its way out to cover, but nothing being said to the bowler on that occasion, which seems a little bit unjust for the batting team.
Yeah, Conor McGarry there. Obviously won't know too much about these players. It's a fairly standard operating model for Matthew Humphreys to pull out during a spell. Sort of stops quite often, and the batters in their stance.
It's just fodder for John McNally, dismissively pulled away, too short, sat up for the left-hander, and after what feels like a long time, a boundary, much needed one for the Munster Reds.
Yeah, the short ball does seem to just sit up on the pitch. A great deal of movement from the batter there, just swatted that away, but it flew to the boundary. It's a much better length. It's gone straight up in the air. Can anybody get there?
Tom Mays underneath.
Tom Mays does.
Does, well, I was going to say does well, but it looked pretty easy in the end. Boundary and out. So the left arm spinner is due for the left-handed John McNally. Innings had faltered somewhat. He was trying to add some impetus, but couldn't really do it. 14 at a run a ball for him. 2 boundaries. And Munster Reds faltering, 71 for 4.
Yeah, same thing as PJ Moore's dismissal. And it went too high for McNally because it actually gives the boundary rider time to come in, and there's a little bit of a shorter area there for Mays, but it went too high. Initially I'd thought hadn't gone up as high, but it gave Mays plenty of time to come in and he can settle himself. Takes the catch, so that ends McNally's innings on 14. And 71 for 4, just after the midway point. Could have done without losing that extra little wicket again. I mentioned it yesterday about trying to set up. You can score quickly at this ground. In the last 3-4 overs you can pick up a lot of runs, but if you're going into those last 3-4 with 6 and 7 down, you just don't have that leeway.
Particularly if you lose wickets right before that period. So you want set batters in at that point. Cian Hilton back into the team and in at number 6. So 2 right-handers combining now. We've seen sparks from him, particularly in Breedy. Little sparks of what maybe he can do. That's a nice shot through the offside, finds the gap, just eases it through, and Caden Carmichael has to do an awful lot of work but doesn't manage to cut it off as he approaches the curve down there towards the clubhouse. So Cian Hilton back in and starts with a boundary.
Yeah, nice controlled shot. You can see how quickly that runs across the turf there. Great effort from Carmichael, just in front of the CNCU girls down there. Down playing their Interpro. Lovely start from Hilton. That'll give him plenty of confidence coming back into the side, as you say. Left out yesterday.
It's been going to be a long day for Stephen Doheny. Opened the batting, out first over, not keeping. He does have captaincy duties, of course. Curtis Camphor came in yesterday and took those back from him, but no sign of him today. Well, misfield, but don't think they'll come back for a second. At least I hope they don't, because they can't really afford another wicket. 2 fours, 3 singles, but also a wicket in that over. 11 from it. After 11, it's 77 for 4.
Yeah, you're right. I'm just watching that particular shot there from Philippe Leroux. When he is playing defensively, he does get very, very low. When he's playing defensively, the bat is quite low, which again in sort of longer form cricket might help him a little bit. But here, it sort of doesn't look as if the ball's going anywhere when he's playing sort of semi-defensively. Hard looking. We mentioned about PJ Moore as well, trying to work it into a gap to keep the singles ticking over.
Cian Robertson to bowl his third. He didn't manage to get a wicket yesterday, hasn't managed to get one today. So where are we on our 50 wicket watch? It's McBrien's one away.
McBrien is one away, yep. And
anyone else anywhere close?
Well, probably it'll be Big Barry McCarthy on 46. Oh, he's 4 away. No, he's bowling at the minute. Wouldn't put it past him today. He'll be in action this afternoon against McBrien. Dockrell 45. Then we're down to Manley's not playing at the moment. Graham Hume's just sneaking up there on 42. So you would have to say the bookie's favourite will be Andy McBrien at the moment.
Much slower through the air there from Robertson. This is the kind of running that I was talking about, you can pretty much guarantee that unless the fielder hits the stumps, which I don't think he's going to do if he's moved sideways, you can get back for the second. Good intent shown by Cian Hilton, looking to keep his place tomorrow.
Yeah, again, it's just his method of cricket. He's energetic in the field, and when he's keeping, as most keepers are, but certainly when he's batting, he likes to sort of show that energy in his running. Generally, not just when the need arises. There's a reverse sweep, played very, very well. It's a good piece of that. There's two fielders there, and he's managed to get it over both fielders. Backward of point, and that runs away for 4.
Very impressive commitment to the shot here, because this was pretty slow from Robertson. Got into good position, had to really go through at the shot, and had to be careful about the angle as well to try and get it over the fielders. So frustrating for the bowler, because you've got the field set to try and stop that shot, so you just have to put someone back there on point. Philippe Laru just moving across, he's trying to expose the other side of the wicket now. A little shift to the leg side, just picks the fielder out now. Morgan Topping doesn't have to do quite as much work.
I'd like to have a conversation with Mark Hawthorne at the end of the game today to see what his thought process is here.
And yeah, we're putting words in his mouth, aren't we? We can't hear what he said, so I'll need to check that out first. So Robertson's third over goes by, expensive in the context of the game. 10 from it, and after 12, Munster Reds 87 for 4.
Yeah, very, very experienced umpire, Mark Hawthorne, but sometimes you've got enough to think about without sort of the players introducing something else. But just what's his thought process in terms of when am I going to have to step in here and say, this is, you've got to move this along.
Ask him about this falling down on the wicket as well. So there's a couple of things we need to iron out.
I'll get him on when he's on third umpire duties. We'll bring him on this afternoon if he is on third umpire. But yeah, we'll have a chat with him hopefully. Ross Adair back. That's a lovely shot. Work again for Carmichael. This time he does get round. Yeah,
I think for Ross Adair, the fielder on the boundary can be more in a regulation cover sweeper position. He's gone straighter on that boundary. Okay, Carmichael. Much more flighted delivery, get down to long on. Creeping up towards 100 here with not too much effort from these two. A couple of risks being taken, some good running as well, but nothing too crazy.
Yeah, I think we've talked about these last 4 overs. If you've got a few wickets in hand, you got to get to there. Still 3 or 4. That's a good piece of anticipation there from Matthew Humphreys. Just took a couple of steps, prevented the single even.
Well, that's a massive full toss from Ross Adair, and that's the risk you take bowling a part-timer. You don't want to bowl those to Cian Hilton. So good on that pull shot, dispatches that for a very big 6, his first of the game.
Yeah, that's not the greatest ball we've seen in the tournament. Yep, and I think Ross Adair, if you can lip read that one, I think you're fairly sure that he would agree with you there.
Yeah, he gave himself good analysis, didn't he?
Yes. I don't think anybody would need to say anything to him there. Let's put out of the park.
immediately the drag down, but Cian Helton, frustrated, can't get it past Matthew Humphreys, who throws it straight into the ground. I think the umpires really need to have a chat with him. That's twice he's done that in the over, which is...
I think they are. They are, right
very
now.
cheeky.
That's exactly what's happening just off your screen there. Hawthorne.
I mean, in the ring, you're expected to throw that into the keeper's gloves.
I think that was, and I mean, we're talking, it was a pretty stern telling off there. It was actually.
Which I agree with.
Yeah.
That's the one. Once in the over, they left him away with it, and actually, I was looking to see was anyone going to say it to him, because if you don't say something the first time,
they'll keep doing it. Yeah,
they'll keep doing it. I remember we used to get given out to for bouncing it in from the boundary, let alone from the ring. Sean Davey, 2 for 7 from 2 overs. It's been a good day for him after a below par day yesterday, but none of the bowlers really had a good day yesterday for the Northern Knights.
Just on screen there, you can see the Northern Knights in their tournament, by 10. In the old parlance of American sport, you would say they're under 500. So they've lost more than they've won, which isn't a great situation for pre-tournament, you would have thought, given their lineup. That's down the ground as it got over Mays, just, and will skip away for 4. Just gets enough on it to get it over mid-on. Once it does, once it hits the turf, it tends to skip away here down the ground.
Just a little clip this from Philippe Laru. Breaks the wrists. Maybe he would have been better off going through the full-blooded shot. But Tom Mays thought he was in the game for a long time there. He's gone back to the boundary now. The fine leg comes up.
Quicker ball in the gap. And gets 4. Fielder just gets a hand to it.
He's flying like Superman,
yeah.
Ross Adair, but just too much power from Philippe Laru, who does play the full-blooded shot this time. Short, he guessed right, got right through the shot, and have a look at Ross Adair. He makes every effort, and just too much power. It takes it through the hand, really.
Yeah, kind of burst through the right hand there as he was full stretch. 2 4s to start the over.
Slower ball on that occasion. Threw the shot too early, which is exactly what you want as a bowler.
Yeah, I was just mentioning the Knights there, as I say, lost more games than they've won pre-tournament. Given their squad, given their lineup, I thought they'd be challenging for this trophy. With it pretty much done and dusted after 2 and a bit tournaments, or sorry, festivals.
Yeah.
You know, they'll be disappointed, and certainly I think a little bit of reflection will be needed before they go into the second half of the IP20 tournament, when they're decently placed there.
That's even bigger. Good power again from Philippe Laru, who's taken a liking to Davey. Started the over at 2 for 7, but he's gone 4-4.6 so far in this one.
Yeah, so in 4 balls, he's going for twice as many as he had in 2 overs. It's right in the slot for Laru. He gets good power on it. But there, just watches it sail over his head. Up above 8 now, the run rate. So again, it's certainly improving.
I wonder with that analysis for the Northern Knights, where will they put their finger on to say that's where we lost it?
That could be a long list, is he?
Knew you were going to say that. You're always the pessimist. Was it other teams winning games, or was it Northern Knights underperforming? It's always difficult to figure out which of the two it is. Tom Mays still has 2 overs left. I think I'll bring him back for 1 now. Try and break the partnership before you get into the hitting overs. If you can get Philippe Laru now, who's really making them pay for the drop catch when he was on 2. There's a slower ball again, a little jab down the ground from Cian Hilton, brilliantly read. He's playing a handy little hand here. 22 from just 11 deliveries for him, coming back into the team and coming back in at number 6.
Yeah, straight down the ground, which was the key here. Got long on, long off, but you can see it's gone straight over the middle of the stump, so dead straight. That means he gets a boundary rather than just 1 or 2. As you say, he moves to 22. He's the one, despite the fact that Laru's taken the 4, 4 and 6, it's been Hilton's energy just has got him going.
Yeah.
Decent little partnership here.
Yeah, very handy, isn't it? And it just shows you that you just can't miss by much, can you? Because that wasn't far away from a Yorker, but just didn't quite nail the Yorker on that occasion. Sean Davian punished for it. So chastening over for him. 116 for 4 after 14.
Yeah, that's the point. We always talk about the Yorker's a big weapon in this, and if you can execute it, it is, absolutely. But you do just miss it for a little bit. That's what can happen. Batter's so adept these days. I'll try and push for 2 here. Will they get back in? Coming for it. Again, you're right. There's the direct hit. Has to happen. So there's your warning on the boundary. If you needed it, shouldn't need it, but there it is.
Well, that one slightly different because they had to come in. So I'm thinking it's definitely 2 if they have to move sideways and stay on the boundary, because it's a long throw. But that one a little bit more dangerous from Cian Hilton. You'd hate to see him run himself out. It is Tom Mays who's been brought back to try and break the partnership. Short ball there, but not the connection that we saw last over from Philippe Laru.
$119 for 4. 5.4 overs left, so sort of looked at that total of 160 yesterday. Wasn't enough. Munster Lightning were pretty comfortable in that chase. That's gone. That's gone. Really well hit from Hilton.
Well, he said catch it as soon as the ball was hit, so I think the plan is to try and get them caught on the boundary, but it didn't work. Cian Hilton strong through that area, and almost in the blink of an eye, 50 partnership between these two.
Yeah, it's a nice shot from Hilton. Good technique on that. Gives him the power, and I don't think the catch it was a shout that was ever in hope of being fulfilled there. That's gone a long way past the boundary. And you can see just 24 deliveries for 54 runs for these two.
Goes back to the fuller length, call of 2.
And a yes, no. He ends up with a no. It's Paul Sterling with the fielding there, in from the boundary.
Just giving himself a pat on the back, I think. Was that what was going on there?
It looked like it. I think he was just adjusting his cap maybe, but it looked like it was well done, Paul.
We haven't seen him much in the field in the last few weeks. Hilton or Philippe Laru gives himself room. That's almost a plan paid off, and that's the problem with moving around. I think it works out from quite a lot, but you move around and then it's not where you wanted or where you expected it. And do you have the plan B required?
Yeah, I think that's where the next level of the game comes. Saw that yesterday when an amazing last ball of the innings when Lorcan Tucker was down to nearly ramp and got done with a bouncer, but was able to adapt and catch up with the ball. So it's that next level then.
A really good point. Managing to pick out the fielder in the deep there, Morgan Topping. He was the man who put down Laru on 2. He's added 30 since then, and they're putting together a very nice partnership here, these two. 15 gone, 128 for 4.
Always a key part of any innings, as we said. 159 yesterday. Definitely looking to top that, as we saw the Leinster Lightning fairly comfortable. Don't forget the Chastening sort of story that they had last week, the Reds, against this opposition. The openers went a little bit ballistic against them last week, so they'll want to get as many as they can in these last 5. Fairly obvious thing to say, but they want to keep the momentum going here and sort of.
Yeah, you don't want to get to 170 again and think, yeah, that's we'll defend that, and then watch Rossiter and Paul Sterling cart you around.
Slower through the air from Robertson.
I wonder how many shots Cian Hilton played in his head there before he decided on the forward defence. It looked like a few.
Yeah. But again, important, he doesn't just drop that at his feet. He gets a single.
Really good. Bit of turn there for Cian Robertson. There's no justice in cricket if that's gone for 4.
I don't think it has. I think that's a fantastic piece of fielding. He should be patting himself on the back for that one, for sure, because that's an excellent piece of fielding. The technique to keep the ball in as he was reaching it.
He didn't have to pat himself on the back there. One of the fielders came
Somebody
over
else
and
did it
for him.
It was an excellent piece of work from Paul Sterling there. I say not just the chase, but the technique to keep the ball in the field.
Little shimmy down. The telltale giggle from Matthew Humphreys. There's always players that you play with in representative teams that you hate playing against in club or, say, the Interpros. That's always leaving Matthew Humphreys. Really nice shot from Cian Hilton. Nice languid swing. Allowed the ball to come to him, and that created the angle to get that wide of long off for a good looking boundary.
Yeah, that's really nice from Hilton. As you mentioned, he sort of cut across it a little bit, and the ball was sliced away from Matthew Humphreys. He had no chance as soon as it was hit, really. Again, as soon as it hits this turf, it kicks off it. Much tighter line from Robertson.
Yeah, I was just saying that there's certain players you hate playing against. If you play with them for Ireland, then you don't like playing against them for various reasons. Some is because they're the best players going around, obviously, but the niggly players. I feel like Matthew Humphreys might be one of those. Mid-off in the ring. And don't worry about mid-off in the ring, because that's gone a long way into the gardens. They won't be getting that one back anytime soon. Is Johnny Kennedy, is he the third umpire? He needs to start getting up and heading out, because that final delivery of his spell deposited by Laru.
Yep, on the sweep. There's the reaction from Robertson. He knows straight away. And you can see the ball disappearing into the gardens. 42 he's gone for Robertson, having been economically the best bowler. There's this piece of fielding from Paul Sterling. There's the chase, but just watch the way he pulls this back. That's fantastic. And so Adam Kennedy does the rest. Great work from the skipper there. Yeah, Robertson's been economically probably best bowler for the Knights last couple of games, but as you mentioned, the Reds took him for 40 plus in the last game. They've done it again here. Going back to Adam Kennedy. Big ask here. 17th over. Really?
Yeah, well, I like it because I think the pressure's kind of off him, isn't it?
Yeah. These two are going so well at the minute. Everybody's taking a bit of tap.
Well, there's some more tap. That's just a flick of the wrists from Cian Hilton. He seems to have had something for breakfast today that's given him some extra strength. Whatever it is, he should keep it up for tomorrow as well, because he's striking the ball so sweetly.
Well, I'll tell you what he might have had for breakfast. Getting dropped yesterday. That may be what he had. I'll tell you what I can do. He's come out here today. 42 from 18.
I genuinely thought maybe you were going to say Wheat Bix or something.
Other cereals are available. No, I just think maybe that is what it is. You know, you're not getting picked and you're missing out. And
Yeah, well, I think sometimes if you're playing from fear, you like a fear of getting out or something like that, you get dropped and you think, well, it's not that big of a deal, I guess. I mean,
Yeah.
I might as well go out and express myself because what I was doing wasn't working.
But as you mentioned, we'd seen glimpses.
Yeah.
Little cameos, but he's definitely got the head down today. 43 now. Laru's on strike.
Yeah, I think as well, like he must be wondering why it's him that's been dropped, because for me,
so.
Suleiman Safi is the hasn't, not only has he not scored, he hasn't looked like scoring. Whereas Cian Hilton, like you said, there's been glimpses, and of course he's the wicketkeeper, so they had to go with their second wicketkeeper to leave him out of the team. So a little bit of a baffling one for me. Easy to say now, of course, as he's on 43 from 19, but.
Yeah, but we did call it yesterday.
Yeah.
We did say yesterday with the two decisions that we thought maybe were a little bit strange.
Well, has the slower ball foxed him here? I don't think so. Cian Hilton doesn't bother running. Tom Mays looked to try and chase it down, but it's another 6 from Hilton. 50 for him.
I think he's got the hold of that. Got enough on it. Did go a little bit aerial.
A little bit.
Yeah. But there's enough on it. Covers over for another boundary.
Oh, 49.
Premature.
Sorry.
Yeah, 49. He better not get out now,
Oh
Isabel.
dear. I'm not claiming it.
49 from 20. Oh, he'll get a wide there.
Oh, he definitely doesn't know he's on 49 either. I bet he has no idea because he's not been out there very long. I think it was the 10th over he made his way out.
Yeah, but they've definitely changed this innings. We're talking about 150 and 160. Certainly looking well upward of that now as we come into the 3 overs and a bit to go here. That'll be the 50.
Relief for me. 50 for Cian Hilton, and a popular 50 as well. Claps from the clubhouse. They'll be delighted for the man who's come back in today. 3 4s and 4 6s from Cian Hilton. Philippe Laru and somehow playing second fiddle to the man in at number 6.
Yeah, that's a knock of the tournament for Cian Hilton there. He'll take that one away with him. Come back into the side as we've mentioned. Just giving a real fill-up to this innings. Joined with Laru. Short, and another one dispatched. That could be on the railway line. That's gone so far. Really not working these tactics for the Northern Knights. 3
6s in the over, not what Neil Rock will have wanted. 3 6s, 3 singles, and the wide as well. Not for 22 in that over. Don't think he'll be bowling another one. Adam Kennedy. So he started off knocking the ball around, but yeah. It's the reason why there's only 3 red lines there, I think, is because there's a few that have been hitting the same place from Cian Hilton.
He's certainly got the hold of the ball behind square there, a couple of boundaries, and yeah, he's just really given the impetus there. 21 balls just for the 50, and you're now looking at a possible 200 now for the Munster Reds. We've only seen 200 once in the tournament. Guess who has it? Munster Reds against
the Northern Knights.
Northern Knights. Yeah, that was down in Cork. We thought we'd see a few, but that's the only one. They're now eyeing it up from nowhere, really, after losing wickets. But it just shows you T20, even one guy can get in, like, as in that innings. Stephen Doheny went 150, but here we've now got both guys going, and this is dangerous. When both guys can go, this is dangerous. Matthew Humphreys.
107 overs. And
Gone.
straight away gets the wicket. He's holds the hands up to the sky saying that's how it's done. And that's exactly why I'm saying he's the guy you hate playing against. He's very good, but also a little bit of niggle. Rubs it in. Cian Hilton will feel like he's done his job. It's a pity he didn't stay out there with Laru for the last 5. He's gone for the milestone. 50 from 22. Have a look at that strike rate. 227, and claps from all the Munster Reds. I'm surprised to see Suleiman Safi, I would have thought maybe Liam McCarthy. But this is why Safi's making his way out.
Yeah, just comes down the track to Humphreys and again almost yorks himself a little bit. Good take from Neil Rock there. A little bit of a difficult one for him, but he takes it cleanly. But really good knock there, as you can see from his teammates and his coaching staff. Warm round of applause as Hilton walked off there. That was pretty much what the doctor ordered for the Reds. He gets 50, but he did it in quick time and gets it going now. And they've still got plenty of overs to go now at 165. Almost 3 overs, but yeah, Suleiman Safi thrown out there. Might even have thrown in a back there Nabi. Seen the energy that he brings, and similar to Hilton.
Well, Philippe Laru very keen to get on strike, and that could have been back-to-back wickets. We'd have had 2 set batters out, which is exactly what Northern Knights would want. You just rewind to when Philippe Laru was first out there. 2 he was on when he was dropped. That's a long time ago. Safi chips this one down the ground, gets in a good position, over pitch from Humphreys, and 6 all the way.
Yeah, again, just a little bit of frustration there from Matthew Humphreys. Decides to give the tempter, throws it up. Yeah, Safi does get it. I wonder, is he going to throw our words down our throat here a little bit? Haven't seen any evidence of it in this tournament.
He's in the team for a reason. Let's hope he shows us. I'll dance it down again. That might be a couple.
Yeah, I'd say that's about 20 miles an hour quicker that time from Humphreys.
At least. I think he should have gone 20 miles an hour slower again.
Yeah, that's what we've seen sort of has been most effective on this pitch.
He threw it up for that 6, but I think he's got to recognise he didn't quite get the length right for it. Hasn't got much of that at all. Good catch in the deep from Tom Mays. Bit of pace off after the quicker delivery from Matthew Humphreys, and 2 in the over. And we've seen at the back end, if you can continue to take wickets, you can really stall an innings. That's what Northern Knights have done as Munster Reds look to add quick runs at the end. They've lost a couple of wickets in the same over. 8 from 4 for Safi. 1-6 in that innings. And his tournament continues to be underwhelming.
Yeah, Matthew Humphreys, that's the length you're talking about there, Isabel. Similar kind of pace. Took the pace off that previous delivery, but it was the length then, because the previous ball he was able to just get under the ball, get a lot of good contact, but because that's bounced a good couple of feet shorter, it means it's bouncing higher and doesn't get as much purchase on it, straight up in the air. Tom Mays takes a decent catch as he comes in. So yeah, Safi goes, and yeah, it's only 4 balls of a difference, but here is Liam McCarthy.
Where has he been?
Yeah, stuck in the hutch.
Now this is a good time for him. It's one of the most difficult times to come out is when there's only a couple overs to go, because you're expected to go from ball 1, but it seems to suit Liam McCarthy. And the signal to Ben Callett is please go on the boundary, which I think is a good shout to the man in mid-wicket on the boundary.
He decides to take the 1, which Northern Knights will not be too despondent about right now, you would think, because Laru's in, but McCarthy, we've seen, can go pretty quickly. He doesn't usually take too many balls to have a sighter. Interesting to see who they turn to now. It's going to be Sean Davey, who was 7 off his first 2, but took a bit of a pounding in his 3rd. See if he can come back here to finish off his spell. Pretty important 2 overs here now. 174 for 6. There you can see John Davy 2 for 26. When he was 2 for 7 off 2.
Yeah, that third over, 19 off that. It was Philippe Laru who actually did most of the hitting that over, rather than Cian Hilton. They were both hitting them well at the time. It was kind of the over that got them going, I think.
Yep. Very blue sky now above head. Really nice conditions out there. It's starting to heat up a little bit. Right in the middle as well. 2 overs to go. Can the Reds really capitalise now here in these last 2? In the air, Paul Stirling underneath it. Gets good position there to be able to turn his hands. It's one of those ones, do you turn backwards? He's managed to skip backwards and get under it, and Liam McCarthy can't do that little cameo we've talked about. He goes for 1. A good start to the over for the Knights. McCarthy goes just for the single.
Yeah, 174 for 7 now, and that's a very good wicket to get. Very useful. Really good technique. Have a look at the feet here of Paul Stirling. If you possibly can, this is what you should do. The front foot going, or the leading foot going backwards, and then the other foot going in front. Means you get in the best position. I much prefer that to turning around and running backwards. So that's why when the ball goes over your head, if it's to either side, it's always much easier. If it goes directly over your head, then you have to turn and run. It's so much harder to reel it in. So Davy does a good job taking a wicket first delivery of the penultimate over. Back to your Nabby. Well, he's back into the team today, and maybe he's got a point to prove.
Same breakfast as Cian Hilton.
Yeah, that's the thing, but does it have the same effect?
Yeah, good point you make on the technique there. Do a lot of drills like that, trying to use the skip technique rather than sort of turning. Davy into it. Back to your Nabby. Doesn't really do a great deal with that. He's looking to get Philippe Laru on strike, but doesn't really do anything with it. Plays all around it.
Yeah, well, that's a good ball for a couple of reasons. No runs, but Philippe Laru turned and threw his head up to the sky there. He's getting frustrated down the non-striker's end for too long, says he. He's been on 48 from 28 for a couple of overs now. He wants to get to the milestone and then try and hit a few boundaries late on here. And he's not going to get an opportunity there because another player dances down and sees their off stump tumbling. Not what the plan was, you'd have to imagine. 2 wickets in the first 3 deliveries of the penultimate over is exactly what the Northern Knights will have wanted. Nabby, he didn't have the same breakfast, or it didn't have the same effect for him as it did on Cian Hilton. He goes for 0. And Munster Reds now, they're just thinking, we've got to bat the overs.
Yeah, just journey has stalled a little bit here. First 3 balls of 2 wickets, therefore 3 dots. With the other dot ball in the middle. Again, doing either really here. Just playing over the top of that. Back to your Nabby. The plan was the first ball to try and get a single. Trying to play defensively, missed that, so immediately went to plan B. Try to hit the ball then, and really did neither. And ends up a 2-ball duck for Nabby. McDonough out now. And not really ending the innings. Just planning wise here. Lots of people coming and going, and Philippe Laru, as you say, becoming increasingly frustrated at the non-striker's end. Yeah, he's going to get it now, eventually.
Well, it just clipped the stump, didn't it? And that's how he managed to get off strike, because if it hadn't clipped the stump, I think they weren't going to run. Paul Stirling running around at mid-on. Philippe Laru's doing a little warm-up again. He's been watching from the other end for a while. Almost as if you're going to start again now, really, with just the 8 balls
left.
That's an interesting stat, that at the bottom, isn't it? 170 for 6 is the highest score that the Knights have made. But of course, they won that chase last week on Duckworth Lewis. That's found the gap, has it? No, done well. As Morgan Topping keeps it to 1.
Yeah, it's a pretty small gap there between Topping and Adair.
Feels like forever ago that Cian Hilton got out, but it was just in the 17th over. So much has changed since then. It was 165 for 5.
Yep.
10 balls, and they've lost 3 wickets. That's good execution. Looking for the Yorker, Sean Davey. So it's been a real mixed day for him. 2 overs for 7 at the start with 2 wickets. Then the over that went for, was it 17?
19.
And then 19, and then came back and took 2 in the penultimate.
Yeah, it's a strange little set of figures, as you say. 4 overs, 4 for 29, which is excellent in any T20 game. But when you take out that 1 over, he would have bowled 3 overs, 4 for 10, which is brilliant figures. But still, a good comeback there from him. Exactly what Neil Rock would have wanted from him. 2 wickets, just a couple of runs from it. Just stalling that momentum, and again, start of an over. Laru still hasn't got to a half century.
Ugh.
He's on 49, and if he's stuck at the other end, wouldn't want to be having a chat with him at the end here. Job to do for McDonough. Done okay at the minute, 2 from 2. Tom Mays to bowl the 20th.
A little punch into the offside. He's done pretty well when he's come in. Yep. I think Byron McDonough, that's generally what he's been able to do. He doesn't flatter himself that he should be the one scoring the boundaries, especially when you've got a set batter at the other end.
Well, that's kind of what I was sort of talking about now. He went with plan 1 was to try and get a single off the first ball. It didn't come off, so he immediately went, well, I've missed the first one, I'm going to have to hit a boundary. Rather than sticking with what McDonough's done, 3 off 3, get Laru on. Can he get to the 50? Well done, Tom Mays.
The wrong man to play that shot to. I'm sure he didn't mean to do it, but of all the players in the tournament, only Tom Mays, I think, would have managed to catch that. Anyone else, you think? Well, maybe Ollie Riley.
Ollie Riley, yeah. There's not many. You're right. Maybe McDonough there beside him. He's quite tall as well, but certainly Tom Mays is up there. Literally.
Oh dear, what's happening here?
I think it's hit the stumps. It hasn't dislodged the bails. Has it actually gone back onto the stumps? Let's have a look here. It's a dot ball at the end of the day. It's it's lodged in his pad.
Yeah, well, good decision. I think a lot was happening there, but he managed to realise that he shouldn't take the single, even though it would have taken him to the half century. Would have meant that McDonough was facing for
pretty sure he'd have been run out. Even Tom Mays, I think, probably wouldn't have missed the kick onto the stumps there. It was half a foot away. Still on 49 and remains on 49. It's an incredible finish here, really. Lots of dot balls in the last 2 overs. Matthew Humphries is really enjoying this at long on.
He's a little niggler, isn't he?
He is, certainly.
Really, if you had a cut in your knee, he's the one who, or a bruise in your knee, he's the one who'd poke it, isn't he?
Pour salt onto it or something.
Yeah.
And it cuts. Giggles as he walks away. Anyway, here goes Mays again.
Finally. Squeeze pass now. Does well. Does Adam Kennedy. That's 50 for. It's 50 for Philippe Laru. Sneaks back for a second. Muted celebrations from the dressing room because it's taken a little bit longer than they would have wanted for him to get there. But he's still done it in pretty quick time. 51 from 33. 3 4s, 3 6s in that. Healthy strike rate of over 150.
Yeah, I think you can see from looking at him there, he is a little bit frustrated. And you're right, it was 50 had it came about a couple of overs ago. He got a bit more of a cheer from his teammates. Here we go, last ball.
Square leg in.
Going up. There, it's given. Yeah, I thought it was pretty close.
Yeah, Square. I can't believe he didn't go for the ramp shot there
Yeah.
because Square leg was even brought in. He got a lot of sighters that it was going to be the Yorker. Stuck with the plan, Tom Mays. We've seen him get a couple of LBWs like that where it's been a full toss that's got through. In fact, the last time it was Philippe Leroux who perished as well. And we've got, yeah, it's Philippe Leroux who's out 51 from 34, gets the milestone, and then out off the final delivery. A brilliant final over from Tom Mays.
Well, it really was pretty straight. Yeah.
Was it outside
Just
the line?
possibly outside the line was the only thing, but definitely going on to hit. But
Yeah, I think that was outside the line, so you can see why it was given. It just, that's hitting the stumps, but a bit of a disappointing finish for the Munster Reds. They started okay, lost Doheny early, but the rebuild in the power play was pretty good from Modgill and Moore, especially in overs 5 and 6. They went for 20s. McNally hit a boundary and was out, but then Laru and Hilton came together. 250s for them. The only disappointment was that they weren't able to add on runs at the end, both going after their milestones, and the tail not doing very well either.
partnerships, and you've kind of mentioned it there is 8-0 at the start, obviously with Doheny out in the first over, but Modgill and Moore in that power play rebuilt quite well, putting on 48. But it's that partnership in the middle there, 94 between Laru and Hilton, pretty evenly spread, 43 for Laru, 50 for Hilton. Just that little bit of a disappointment at the end.
Yeah, just 40 deliveries for that partnership as well, so coming in quick time. Sean Davey had a pretty good day. One over went the distance, went for 19, but the others were really good as he took 4 wickets for just 29 in his 4. Humphreys comes back strong after yesterday's loss. He's 3 for 31 from his 4, and Tom Mays very, very impressive, especially in the final over, 2 for 21 in his 4, as he's had a good day as well.
So halfway through this game in the morning here at Pembroke, Munster Reds have set a target of 181 for the Northern Knights. Fireworks, the last time the Knights were chasing the Reds, will we see the same again? Be sure to join us in around about 10 minutes.
Welcome back for the chase. Northern Knights taking on the Munster Reds. Northern Knights won the toss and elected to bowl. Munster Reds managed to post 180, and that's about par here in Pembroke, we reckon. So if they bat well, they should chase this down, the Northern Knights. If the Munster Reds manage to get a few early wickets, they'll feel confident they can defend it. And one big problem they have to think about is this pair. Paul Stirling, Ross Adair last week. They put Munster Reds to the sword. 132-run partnership in the first 10 overs. That was when it was broken, when they were on 132, when Ross Adair was out for 60. And yeah, the Munster Reds, they know they have to get them out, because if you don't get these two out, they score. They score, and they score heavily, they score quickly. And I'm sure it's something that the man beside me will be hoping to see again, Ali McCalmont.
Well, yeah, of course, not nailing my colours to the mast at all. But yeah, look, it is. I genuinely think this is a big knock for the Knights here. It's 180. It's a decent total. It's not completely out of the realms, but 180 is a decent total to chase. Baron McDonough going to start off here to Paul Stirling. Great start from McDonough down the leg side, so the Knights will be off the mark straight away with a wide. So yeah, I do think it's a chase. It's round about par. We're talking about 180, we think, on this ground. But yeah, we watched that last week, and a lot of people were saying, well, that's what they can do, but we haven't seen it enough in this tournament. And if we can see it again today, just give them that little boost. Tucked into the leg side. Stirling, he'll go off the mark. So yeah, I do think it's an important innings for the Knights, especially after yesterday. Didn't perform that well yesterday, under par, beaten by the Warriors, and they want to finish second, or they certainly should want to finish second.
Yeah, and looking at their squad, you would think they are in the top two teams in the tournament, just on paper, but it is about how you go out and perform in the middle. One change in the bowling lineup. Back to your Nabi, the off spinner, in for Ollie Riley today. And yeah, he went for 50, I think it was, in just 3 overs in that game last week.
Yeah. Of course, Curtis Camphor's out of the team, but didn't bowl yesterday, so it's not as if they're losing his overs.
Yeah, because when himself and Gareth Doheny were both out injured before the start of this, we said it's almost like losing 4 players, because they lose their batting and their bowling. A little bit of shape away. Ross Adair looking to get that over the infield.
Yeah, just those 2 balls. He just seems a little bit late on picking the ball up when he's in form, and seems to be able to be a lot of clarity about where the ball's going. He seems to be on top of it. It just seems a little bit late on the shot, those first 2.
Not late on that one. Too full from McDonough. And you get it up close to him, he generally makes you pay. Ross Adair, first boundary and first runs for him.
Yeah, gets in the gap, but immediately calls for a new stick. It seemed to go okay, but he wants a new one. It's full there, you're right. It's too full. Right now, I think that's the right length for Ross Adair. If you give him it full, it's not moving around too much. Doesn't need to move too much of the feet.
Yeah, it's a mistake you don't mind too much as a captain, I think, because he's looking for swing. So he's pitched it up, looking to maybe take the edge. He's seen a couple go past that outside edge. And he's seen that one go for 6 after a 4. That's the kind of hit-me length that Ross Adair loves. Still a little bit too full. It's better, but not the right length from Baron McDonough. And after a few sighters, Ross Adair getting into his work.
I think that's the very free as a few sighters. That's what he's had. He's got the pace of that one. That one's hitting the score box, I think. There, commentary box usually at Pembroke here is. So 4 and a 6, pitch full, and then deposit it over leg side. Where does he go for the last ball? Well, it's miles in the air. It's gone huge distance in the air and comes down over the rope. Has it gone into the gardens?
I don't think I've ever seen that before. Did that bounce in the gardens and then bounce up? There's someone in the garden there who'll trot across.
Retrieve that.
Retrieve it. Watch out. I don't think today's the day to do any gardening. Ross Adair is in the middle and he's really got hold of that one. It went absolutely miles in the air. Imagine being underneath that. If he hadn't got quite the distance on it, you wouldn't want to catch that. Yeah, exactly. Ben White doesn't have many options around him. They'll be taking it off him. So after a few good dots early on, goes for 18, thanks mostly to 2 sixes off the final 2 balls, and Liam McCarthy's going to bowl the second. Never fun to come on and bowl after the first has gone for so many.
Yeah, well, that's the way Ross Adair plays his cricket. He's a pretty phlegmatic character, understands the vagaries of T20, and I think he probably gets more tap about it than most players. That's the way he plays. He's going to feel. Then he comes off. McCarthy to Sterling.
How's he hit it there? Threw the shot too early.
Might be a new bat for Paul Sterling as well, because that's Q-ended. Right off the bottom end of the bat. Threw the shot slightly early there. You can see him. A bit of a look at it. Yeah, the intent is pretty clear.
Yeah, he's just watched Ross Adair whack it around those last 2 deliveries. He's trying to get in on the act. Good try from Cian Hilton. Always worth going up.
That's the old one there I'm talking about, the old half appeal. Down the leg side. Another wide.
That's the shot he meant to play first up. Times it better this time. Paul Sterling short from Liam McCarthy and punished.
Yeah, Chris Brown with the arm there, and the field doing the filling off the pitch. No chance for one of the Reds fielders there, well in front of square. You're right, that's exactly the shot he was looking for earlier. Q ended it to cover. And immediately tete-a-tete between McCarthy and Doheny. Where do we go from here?
Full straight and middle stump cartwheeling would be nice. But he goes short again and gets the same result. I don't think it's going to go all the way.
Chris Brown after it again.
Yeah, he's getting his steps up. Maybe stay out there, Chris.
Yeah, that would probably put you out there. Could be busy here looking at this start. There he goes. Oh, just under the boundary rope there for 4.
It's a pretty big hit out there. Big hit both sides, truth be told, but you reckon that's the bigger one?
Definitely, I think so. Just maybe has the optics of it, because there's not much out there, bar on the other side the rope, sorry, the wall kind of closes it in a little bit, but it is still a decent hit sideways.
Yeah, because we're really far over on the square here. What you don't want is to be on the artificial or just beside the artificial, not if you're a bowler anyway.
Yeah, I think that would be quite short one side.
Much better from Liam McCarthy. Gets it fuller, those 2 deliveries, and just goes for the dot and the single. Want to close this out, but now he's got to take on Ross Adair. This game could get away from them very quickly here at the Munster Reds if they don't make a breakthrough in the power play, you'd say. that the game will be already gone, which is a very early call, I know. Brian McDonough hoping that they don't get a single here. Oh, what a chance. That was a great effort in cover. I think Suleiman Safi leaping through the air, saves a boundary, saves 3, but how they would have loved the catch. Does that go down in your book as a drop?
Even me. Even I would say that's a half chance at best. Just throwing himself to his right. This is tremendous power. Will do well to catch up with this one. Yeah, great effort. Gets his hand to it, and as you say, more prevents 3 rather than a drop catch. I think his teammates were of a similar opinion. Nipped over and made sure he was okay, and a high 5 with the effort.
You need to work out your lefts from your rights. That was to his left.
To his left.
I was suddenly questioning everything I'd just seen there.
No.
Is to the right as we're looking at the screen, so understandable. John McNally, I would have been on the boundary having a look anywhere but at the captain before this over, but he obviously caught eyes with Stephen Doheny. Didn't have a good day yesterday, John McNally. Got a duck, and his 1 over was expensive. He went for 12. He, I think if he only goes for 12 here, then he might not be too unhappy with the way things are going right now. Rossiter did get a single there. It was a really good piece of fielding from Suleiman Safi. Didn't manage to grab on. I'd say that hand is still stinging. John McNally into the attack. That's unlucky. Goes into the pad, and that's going to be 4 leg byes.
His leg byes. Just think of that. Line isn't great, but the field he's got. Paul Stirling did change his bat in between overs, so they've both decided after 2 overs we need a new bat each. Yeah, he's got fine leg up. That's short. Boundary down towards the clubhouse.
And he goes the same area. Ben White will come around. Yeah, I think I understand the plan. It's bowl in at Rossiter and try not to let him free his arms. Just love that kind of 4th stump line. It's his pick-up shot to long on, and often deposits it over mid-wicket as well.
Yeah, it's a real tough line to bowl though. You know, not much.
And it's maybe not the right plan for Paul Stirling, because he's added that little flamingo shot over 45 that he might whip out.
Yeah, we might see that.
Well, that's a good delivery. It's definitely going over, but troubled Paul Stirling.
Yeah, it was well bowled. As you say, definitely going over the top, hit him quite high. Not really a concerted appeal from either keeper or bowler.
Well bowled. That's a hack from Rossiter. Good brave bowling from John McNally, getting it up to Rossiter. The line was key there. You can see Rossiter practicing the shot, looking to go straight down the ground rather than across. And it's going to be another change of bat for Paul Stirling. How many are in the bag?
Well, quite a lot out there, but the way we're going.
Well, that's gone many a mile. Looking for the Yorker, and you cannot miss. You cannot miss against these 2 batters. If you do, you'll go the distance, and John McNally's gone all the way for 6.
Yeah, he made a really good point there about him being brave in his previous delivery to Rossiter, but as you say, he just can't give away anything here. That's a free hit. A brand new bat gets into action straight away. It's a straight for 6, doesn't move. No need to move there. So again, plenty of this over. We're already on 42. Only completed 3 yet. Strengthen the offside here. Will he go leg? Well, he will, but not exactly where he wanted it. Gets an under edge and no real defence in that part of the ground. It goes for another 4. So a little bit unlucky off the last ball, but another big over for the Northern Knights.
Yeah, a little bit unlucky in that over. I think Byron McDonough's over, he was really hit for all those runs. This one, going for the Yorker again. Again, brave from John McNally. He knows the plan is good. He didn't execute the previous ball. That one he got closer to the block hole. Still a bit of a full toss, but yeah, the leg buys. I mean, it went for 16.
Yep. 46 without loss from 3. McCarthy's going to bowl a second.
Yeah, he kind of got into his rhythm at the end of the over. Starts with a full 1.
Checking the fielders, and Ben White is really behind square on the offside. That's going to be 4 again. Just down the leg side. Just checking, has he got a little piece on that? Looks like it.
Yeah. That was absolutely skipping away to the rope, wasn't it? It's deathly silent out there for the Munster Reds. They need to find a way through to break this partnership, because at the moment it's 50 up. And we're only in the 4th over.
Yeah, partnership 50 off. Just 20 balls. We were kind of marvelling at the partnership between Hilton and Laru. Came off 24, but slightly different with the field, obviously up. But again, 20 balls, just 3.2 overs, 50 on the board.
That's a sharp bouncer. Not bouncer, sorry, sharp delivery. Good length ball to Ross Adair, I think. For Paul Sterling, he'd probably pull that. But Ross Adair giving himself room, trying to access the offside.
Yeah, as I say, Ben White is out on the boundary, but he's a good 10, 15 yards behind square for the wicket. So anything in front will almost certainly go for 4. Well, that's a remarkable shot. He's beaten him for pace, I think, there, but he's unbelievably not really looking at the ball, a la both of them at Headingley all those years ago. Not really looking at the ball, but he's absolutely middled it.
Yeah, there's a little bit of Wimbledon here. It's kind of a serve to square leg. The wry smile from Liam McCarthy. It's good to see he sees the funny side. If you didn't laugh, you'd cry. If you're Munster Reds, 54 without loss, just 3.4 overs gone. Just having a look, it was slightly worse actually last week. 47 without loss after the 3rd, but there were 60 without loss after 4. So you know, they're kind of trying to break their own.
Looks like it.
Records for fastest start, and that's going to take them to 60.
The tent. Anybody taking that in the tent? Wee.
No, that's into the gardens. I've never seen it gone into the gardens in that corner.
That's a huge hit. That is a huge hit.
How far is that, do you reckon? And how high did it go up? And no backswing either. Just follow through.
Try and keep an eye on this. When you see the players looking over the tent, a bit of danger, I think. Yep, it's gone over the back wall there, I think. I just noticed to my right here, Isabel, at the NCU under 15 girls they must have their trip home here, because they've just headed off. I mean, it might have been ringing the bus company or something, saying, "Look, can we just wait another half an hour here? I just want to sit and watch this for a bit, because what a
start."
start."
They not have a game this afternoon? I would
be
say
off
they have
the
a game across the road on Railway, I think, but because you definitely, for Interpros, you don't get to stay overnight after you're finished.
Definitely
playing.
not. You're off and
You're
away.
Straight away back in the bus.
New ball required.
Yeah, you're not getting that one back too quickly. What's the plan for Liam McCarthy? Do you have a Yorker? Is what I want to know, because neither of these players are good at the ramp shot. It's very hard if you execute a Yorker to hit that for 6.
Yeah, well, that's where we're at the minute. It's not trying to prevent 1s or 2s. It's trying to prevent 4s and 6s, really.
There you go.
Tried it. It comes out with a dot ball.
So they're exactly where they were last week against the same opposition after 4 overs. And if last week is anything to go by, it could be an early finish for the Munster Reds.
Yeah, I think the plans have been brought forward a little bit. You would normally see the man who's about the ball in the 7th, just out of the power play, but that's 60 for naught. That's been brought forward a couple of overs. Ben White comes into the attack. Still in the power play. So it'll be interesting to see where those 2 fielders go. Looks like Stephen Doheny, the skipper, is going to go to long on. Liam McCarthy, I think, has been sent out to deep mid wicket, so it's leg side being covered, as you would possibly expect, but means then no cover on the offside at all.
Now, what will Ben White do? Any adjustments from yesterday for him? Because he just didn't seem to get the pace of the pitch at all. Not for 39 and 4 for him. We've had some cricket since then. The spinners generally finding that if they bowl it a little bit slower, they get a bit more purchase. Starts the way. Oh dear, watch out, cameraman. He's forgotten that the ball might hurt if it hits you. I hope he's alright in the deep there.
Yeah, we witnessed that at Clontarf a few weeks back.
So I said cameraman, I meant photographer. That's our co-com, Dave Surratt, checking on. He's a new photographer as well. Maybe we won't see him come back if we keep this up.
Dave just checking him there. Seems to be okay.
6 to start for Ben White, so the line just not right for him there. And 2 short and 2 fast, and a 6 followed up by a 4 as the gamble not looking. Oh, in fact, it's 6. 2 6s to start off his spell.
Yep, check out the cameraman. But yeah, not a great start for Ben White. 1 down the leg side to start with, and then over adjusted, 2 short. Sterling's able to wait on it and hit it over that vacant area in the offside. In the end, it goes for the full maximum.
Well, this is high. This
Way
is a
up in
chance.
the air.
Liam McCarthy underneath takes it, and that's exactly what they wanted. It's muted celebrations for the Munster Reds. They know that a lot of damage has been done by Paul Sterling. 32 and just 12 balls for him. And this opening pair fireworks are what's always expected. We've had to wait for the first 2 weeks until last week against Munster Reds, but he's come out again in some rude form. 3 4s, 3 6s, but the partnership broken. 72 for 1.
Well, going for 6 off his first 2 balls, but that was what they were looking for, to try and almost buy a wicket. You can see McCarthy just gets his bearings. There it is, the bigger pocket, and he would have had a lot of time to think about that.
Yeah, would you know
exactly who he's taken.
The reason why I'm laughing is because I've never seen someone settling under a catch actually wipe their hands, have time to wipe their hands on their sides to make sure they're not sweaty before taking a catch. But that's exactly what Liam McCarthy did. He maybe a little bit of nerves, got the sweat glands in the hands going. Kate Carmichael out at number 3.
Definitely does just add to the catch when you've got a bit of time and you know exactly who's hitting the ball. And you know that this is a must take. Really, he did well. So 72 this week, 132 last week for it there. And Sterling just a 72 this week, but it's coming rapid time. 4.5 overs, so brings out, well, you would have to say, it's been the Northern Knights premier batter in this tournament.
Yeah, 60. Definitely the standout for me.
60 again yesterday.
Yeah, where's the bowling though? I just don't understand why. This, he's perfect for these conditions. Lots of slower balls. That's what you want, right?
Yeah. Where's he been?
Maybe he needs to get in off the boundary, get in the captain's eye line.
Most definitely. It's a problem when you're good at it. You just get sent out there. But well, look, being serious for a second, he is quite a. So he's not in your face character. No, Carmichael. He likes to just get on with his business. You get other players sort of be in the captain's ear and saying like, I need the ball, or whatever. But he just likes to get on with his business and sort of do it well. Here he is against White.
Some people say you look like your car or you look like your dog. I think your personality comes out in how you play sometimes.
Yep.
And so if that is true, then Cade Carmichael, the way he goes about his business, it's not necessarily flashy, technically sound, hard worker.
So back to the same field for Adair.
Just make him wait a little bit longer, Ben White. Yeah, not a bad plan. I really like that from Ben White. You're looking to just get it right on the toes of Ross Adair. After going for 2 sixes in the first 2 balls of the over, it's some comeback from the leg spinner. Cover had gone out. He's going to bring him in again, long on back.
Yeah, I think they're going back to that similar field for Carmichael now. That thought that he was going to maybe try and play on the offside more, so a little bit of. And then he bowls it on the offside and he's going to go. That's a giveaway for Cade Carmichael. Hits it in the air and is caught by Nobby.
Yeah, look, it wasn't the greatest delivery, but because that fielder was up, Cade Carmichael trying to hit it hard to get it through the field that was all up. And the usually consistent right-hander goes for just one. It's a double wicket over for the Munster Reds, and if ever anyone needed it, it's them. Ben White's handed it to them.
Well, we talked about being brought on possibly a couple of overs previous to what he would normally come on the 7th. He's come in to bowl in the 5th over, and as you say, despite the fact he went for 2 sixes off his first 2 balls, he then came back and has taken 2 wickets, 2 really needed wickets for the Munster Reds to just drag them back into this game a little bit and see if they can get rid of Ross Adair now. Put a little bit of doubt in the mind of the Knights. We mentioned a few times over the past few weeks their batting hasn't been as sort of confident as they should be, probably dependable. So if they can get it there in the next few overs, Barry McDonough back, it's Morgan Topping who's out to join him. And again, it's had a little bit of a lean spell since that festival down in Cork. He looked to start the tournament really well, but he's had a bit of a lean period.
Well, injury update, as you would say. Photographer Rupert managed to get out of the way at the last second, so there was no injury to tend to. It is a dangerous job, but you think being a photographer, you know, you're not picking the most dangerous job. That's another boundary. Is Ross Adair doesn't mind the wickets falling at the other end. He's going to continue the way he was before Ben White came on and dismissed 2. 1 bounce, really flat shot over the rope for 4.
Yep, I think so. I think he's going to continue as is. He's going to beat White to his left. He manages to get round again. Yeah, for me, poor running again there. Only just jogging through for one.
And someone who is quick as well, you know. And so,
absolutely.
Like if you talk about someone's personality being shown on the pitch, he's really competitive in the field. Takes pride in getting to the ball quickly, Ross Adair. So I do find it a little bit perplexing that he doesn't run the first one hard. Our graphics just dropping out at the moment. Let's keep you up to date on what the score is. It's 79 for 2 now, 5.2 overs. There we go. Run rate just below 15. And that's just a little punch from Morgan Topping. You see the power down one end, but that's just pure class.
He gets a little pat in the back there from Ross Adair. You know, that's what we're used to seeing from Topping. First ball. Yeah, straight down the ground. Mantra, if you're hitting it through mid-on, good touch. He hasn't been for the last couple of weeks, but that's a nice start. Ooh, takes that one out a little bit. Yeah, just, it's not a, you were talking about an injury update. It's not really an update, but I did see Curtis Comfer there, just around the far side of the ground. He's in his Munster Reds kit, I think. So that would indicate, hopefully, nothing too amiss.
That's the wicket. Byron McDonough. I saw some class from Topping a couple of balls ago, but he moves away from that, dances down and throws it away. Morgan Topping, that's not what's needed at all. 3 wickets going down in quick succession for the Northern Knights, and I've just been perplexed by how they've gone about things in general in the last 4 weeks. Topping goes for 4 from just 3 deliveries. That one boundary, his only scoring shot, and all of a sudden Northern Knights have lost 3 in the power play.
Well, yeah, 2 balls ago we saw a technically correct shot. There's that nip back again. We saw that from Mays earlier today. Just nips back off the pitch. But yeah, we've talked about it for 3 or 4 weeks now. You say the word perplexed, and sometimes I just think, you know, we've talked a lot about, you know, we use the interpros, etc., as individual sort of things, trying to build up a portfolio of scores and performances and things like that. But I just keep going back to the same thing. Sometimes just winning a game for your team, just sticking it out. You don't need to get 40 off 20 balls at times. And really, for me there, Morgan Topping's been out of form for a little while. This was a perfect opportunity just to go in and score, run a ball 20, and then kick on maybe. And just to try and go from ball 1. I appreciate that a lot of the time you are asked to do that, and that's your role. But sometimes just to check out and say, well, I'm going to play it like this today. Especially the fact that Ross Adair's been given it. He does that. That's his game, and he could get out now. You're 4 down.
Yeah, I mean, I'm trying to think of something to say back to that, but you're right. Neil Rock out at number 5, the captain, wearing 5 on his back as well. And maybe he can just inject some calm. I thought that was going to be Morgan Topping's job. 2 boundaries early on the over, but the wicket really important there. Power play is done. 84 for 3, so the run rate fine. Wickets, not so much.
Yeah, it makes it even worse for me, the fact that the run rate is sitting at what, 14. It's not even in the sort of thought process now, the run rate really. And Ben Collett's over on the right of your screen there. You saw him blitz it around yesterday. But not really sure now after 6 overs that's required, but I keep hearing this mantra that's the way it's played now. I think sometimes just winning games is important. I think the Knights need to win the game.
I think it's quite arrogant to say that's just how I play.
A little bit.
To be honest. Because you're not taking the opposition into account when you say that. Ben White, no surprise, will continue. 2 for 14 from him. He went for 12 in his first 2 balls. Good comeback. He's just getting his field right to the left-handed Neil Rock. Slip is in. Munster Reds sense something. They're still quite quiet, but maybe quietly confident. Still need best part of 100. And the way they're going about things, it seems a long way away now. They need that. They need good fielding. Munster Reds, the catching has been good. That was a good catch from Liam McCarthy in the deep to start things off. Pretty easy catch from Bakhtir and Nabi, but again, you have to take those.
Yeah, you just got to make sure of them. Make sure you're taking your chances.
Where the Knights put one down. There's that one. Oh, the telltale off to the side from Mark Hawthorne, reaching for his leg.
Yeah, the Knights put a couple down. Flip was dropped on 2, I think.
Yeah, it was, and Moore was dropped on 2 as well.
Yeah.
But and he didn't do quite as much damage, just made the 21. But that's, you know, Laru made 51. So if you add those together, if you add 19 and 51, you get 70. That's a very different looking score.
Yeah, red shirt's going everywhere at the moment. Not really sure what the field is going to be finalised as. And again, yeah, a little bit all over the place here. Like Laru's gone left, right, back over on the offside.
Short, and this actually might be another wicket. Ross Adair hasn't got any of this. Big moment, and it's taken Suleiman Safi in the deep. He hasn't done much with the bat, but he's taken the catch, and all of a sudden the tables have turned completely. We're going to have 2 fresh batters out, and after a blitz at the start, Northern Knights, they're down to number 6, Ross Adair. It's been entertaining, but we'll see you later. 39 from 19, 4 fours, 3 sixes, and rarely would a team be so happy to see the back of someone.
Well, you heard some of the fielders probably, and that was the catch was taken. The shouts have definitely gone up. You mentioned they were pretty quiet. I don't think they'll be quiet now, because I definitely see a way into winning this game now, when 15-20 minutes ago we were basically thinking, you know, how do we stop runs coming here? That was just carnage for 15-20 minutes, well, and now all of a sudden.
Yeah, I said at the end of the power play, if they hadn't got the 2 openers out,
it was done.
Northern Knights had done it, but
yeah.
Ben White came on 5th over, and he's taken 1 5 in the competition against this opposition. So they know how to beat the Northern Knights. They did it in the first week. That was off the back of largely of Stephen Doheny's 150. It's definitely easier to bowl when you're defending over 200, but Ben White's game changer here.
He almost gets another, but yeah, it's not as if we hadn't called that. Ross Adair's going to play that way, and we get that, and that's fine.
That's a wrong delivery from you. That was way too straight.
Yeah.
So I don't think he should have played it, just because he tends to try and hit every ball for 4 or 6. Nobody can hit every single delivery that's bowled at them for 4 or 6, because there's going to be strong areas, and generally for him he needs a bit of width outside off, or he needs it to be up to him or short. That was none of those. It was a good length delivery. Would have bounced over off stump if he'd missed it. So yeah, I just think it was the wrong option, especially considering the wicket's tumbling around him. That's a nice shot from Ben Callets. He's in good form. Batted well yesterday, and it's important for these two to just try and quiet the noise of the pressure. Finishes that White over with the boundary. Have a look at that score sheet. 32 from just 12 for Sterling. Ross Adair 39 from 19. And once those two were gone, they were quickly followed. Well, once Sterling was gone, he was quickly followed by Carmichael and Topping. Carmichael just made a mistake. Everyone can make those. Topping maybe just got himself out. I've done it, making that breakthrough, and then Rossiter, the latest to go. So it's down to Rock and Callets now. They're the last out-and-out batters. And after that, it's the kind of bowling all-rounders, isn't it?
Yeah, even that, but it makes our point then, because without Pretorius in the team coming in at 7, let's say, they're a little bit of a batter light. So even more reason then, have a plan. If those two want to go off, fair enough, they've done it. But now you got to be adaptable. We've talked about that a lot of times. Stick to plan A. This is what we do. So you got to be adaptable and play the situation. I think we're going to see a lot these next few overs about what way they're going to go about this now, because the run rate is still well above what's required. What's required now is a bit of a calm and just a partnership.
John McNally to bowl his second over, slightly unlucky in his first. A nice pick up from Bakhtir Nabi, and Silvan Safi does well to come in and stop them taking a second on the overthrow.
Yeah, good backing up there.
Yeah, they're up and about now, the Munster Reds. It was
pretty subdued for 4 overs, yeah. So
suboptimal start for them. There's a bit more of a spring in the step. Outside the power play now, of course. We have been for 7 balls, so field can spread. Ben Callets on strike, third, cover, long on, mid-wicket and square out. That's a good line to him.
Just when you said that there, there's 7 overs. It feels like a lot longer than 7 overs.
Well, when you're trying to find the ball from a few gardens, it takes a bit longer, doesn't it?
It just feels like quite a lot has happened in those 7.2 now. Plenty going on.
And Leinster Lightning and Northwest Warriors making their way in. They play this afternoon. And I suppose yesterday Ben Callets batted so well, but you could see what a good plan to him is, which is got bowling over the wicket as a right armour, pushing it across him, try and keep it away from him.
Yeah, that's exactly what we're talking about. If you get a weakness, they're going to play on it, but your job then is to counteract that. Try and find a way to score, even if it's not your optimal area. Quick single from Neil Rock.
Well, that plan to Ben Callets is a good example of the analysis working both ways. So you can give the analysis to the bowlers, tell them this is the area to keep Ben Callets quiet, and then you can say to Ben Callets, they've kept you quiet with this delivery, how are you going to counteract that? If you can get the hands through and look to slap it over extra, more so than a proper cover drive. It doesn't seem to have the hands for that. That might be a good option. This might be a slower ball. Long off goes back, third up in the ring. Looking to continue taking wickets.
Yeah, is that 5 balls gone in this over, 4 singles? Maybe it is that little quiet period that we're talking about. Just a reset for the Knights. Maybe just hit a boundary off a bad ball rather than just always trying to hit a ball to the boundary.
Around the wicket from McNally, a bit of bat and tumble as well. He's looking to chase. It's good running between these two. Ben White comes in, he hits, but Callets home and hose. So 2 off the final delivery. I'll make it 6 from that over. What's happened here? Sure.
He just lost his fitness. He realised he had to take. He kind of appealed, then realised he had to take off after it, and sort of one of those ones where the body goes before the feet get going, and
sniper
took a tumble. Yeah.
This is big moment, I think, because Bakhtiarnaby's been brought back in. We've seen Andy McBride be probably the most successful spinner so far in Pembroke, but he is a wily character. Bakhtiarnaby, can he emulate the Northwest Warriors captain with this spell? Replaces Ben White.
Yeah, I think good time to get him into the attack as well. As we've been talking, are the Knights just trying to milk a few overs here just to reset the innings, or do they go again here with the new bowler?
He generally bowls quite quickly, so I'm a little bit nervous about him bowling to these two big hitting left-handers. Cloths it, but he gets it in the gap. Liam McCarthy.
That's crazy. It's crazy that's gone for 4
with it before it reaches the rope.
That really is unbelievable. You just thought that was going to just trickle down to be picked up for maybe 2.
The follow through, I think, is the thing. He went all the way around, so even though the contact wasn't great, he muscled it, and the curve just came at the wrong place for Liam McCarthy. I think actually he thought that John McNally was closer, and then he realised actually it's me. That one's quicker, and it goes quickly to the boundary as well. Back-to-back boundaries, and Bakhtiarnaby. The gamble not paying off so far, but we did see Ben White go for 2 sixes and then take a wicket. Maybe that's the
plan.
The rhythm.
That's the plan. We'll give them a few runs and then they'll get too complacent. But yeah, that one's the shot that Callets is looking for.
Better line. The 100 came up with that boundary. 103 for 4 in quick time. Still, run rate had touched up close to 15 for a while there, but it's down to 12. Still well in advance of what they need. Just under 7 per over required. That's better as well. Get him onto his front foot if you can. Take the pace off.
Yeah, you know you're doing okay when you say that the run rate goes down to 12. You know you're doing pretty well, but it's the wickets again you keep talking about. You've picked up 2 boundaries off the first 2 deliveries. Lots of space out there as well on the leg side. You'll get a single. It's tucked into the leg by Rock.
Well, Neil Rocket looks like he's thinking, I'm going to just bat to the end here. I'm going to go in with the W under my name. He's just pushing it around.
Thought about 2, but didn't make that decision quickly enough. I'll have to settle for 1, but with the 2 boundaries off the first 2 deliveries, more than enough. Off that over for the Northern Knights. 9 gone. 106 for 4. John McNally going to continue. He's bowled 2 overs now. For the 17, his last over. Much tighter than the first one, but that was when Adair and Sterling were going off at it in the power play. Ball to Ben Callets.
Bowled again. Yeah, interesting. They've changed the field here for Ben Callets. Third has come up and long off goes back, which I like because he's obviously going to stick to this plan, John McNally, where he goes across Ben Callets. They've got their best fielder in extra cover. They're hoping he'll be able to cut it off, but if he doesn't manage it, they do have protection in long off. Goes the straight one. But full enough. That was the key.
Just having a look at the field again for the new batter. It's not going to change too much. In fact, yep, actually going to have a fine leg, which would have moved round a bit square, so it's quite a wide position there for Nabby.
Mid off in around the wicket. for John McNally. And the thing, I think this is a period where both teams will just look to take the game a bit deeper. Munster Reds would love another wicket or two, but it's more about getting singles or dots, bowling singles or dots, not searching for the wicket too much. Shuffle down the wicket, and we saw that earlier, didn't we? Tom Mays was able to keep it to a dot in the final over. John McNally doesn't even attempt it.
Well played from Callets and well bowled. Both sides of the game there, executing pretty well. Bringing Nobby up into the ring now. That fine leg. He's up into the circle.
Oh, a little bit of nip away. Well bowled. Just feeling for it, Neil Rock. Third in the ring, so he thought he might have been able to just guide it down to third for 4. Leinster Lightning not too perturbed by the fact that's the bowler's arm there. They might look to come back for 2. John McNally doesn't lose his footing this time. Suleiman Safi does well, and he might get a little word saying, keep it up. No. So a good over from John McNally. Halfway through the overs in the chase, 110 for 4. If you didn't catch it earlier, they got off to an unbelievable start. 60 from the first 4 overs, but then Ben White came on, got 2 in an over, and then the wickets tumbled in the next couple of overs as well. So even though it looks like they're really well set, it's a good fight back from Munster Reds. Actually, Nabi taking the pace off.
Yep, Nabi to continue. A couple of bounties off his first 2 balls, but seems to have got himself settled down a little bit now. Rock certainly playing within himself, but I get no complaints here. For that, just trying to rebuild this innings from that blistering start. A little bit of width made there by Callets himself, not from the bowler. Just went leg side to open up the off. Gets it in front of square, so picks up 2.
Yeah, caught it straight away, so he clearly played it in front on purpose, Ben Callets. While he is playing within himself ever so slightly, it's him that is taking the attacking option more so. And that slice didn't make it. Oh well, a run out. And that is a comedy of errors from Ben Callets. The thick edge just flew to Swapnil Modgill in third. Good thinking from him to return the throw. Ben Callets, did he know where the ball had gone? Got sent back, and a run out at this point in the game. Could that be the turning point? Another one. Ben Callets goes for 19 from 16, 3 boundaries in the innings. And Northern Knights getting themselves into a bit of a pickle.
Yeah, look, I hate to say it, but more horrible cricket from the Northern Knights, really. You see that at youth level. Straight to the man at backward there, and no real communication, it seemed, between the 2 batters. Callets had set off and sent back, and really not even in the frame, and the ball was thrown in. So we've said that the 5th wicket would put us into the bowlers. Tom Mays no mug at all with the bat. We've seen plenty of him this year, but 5 down, and he's in at 7. This game definitely right back in the melting pot now.
Yeah, it's really turned on its head, hasn't it? It's hard to believe that just 6 overs ago we were watching Ben White get hit for 2 sixes and then take a couple of wickets in his first over. They've lost 3 since then. A little leading edge. There is a bit of turnout there for Bakhtiar Nabi.
Yeah, well, I would say if you were able to go back in time and watch those first 2 balls of Ben White's over disappearing for 6, to find me anybody in this ground or elsewhere who would be saying that at the end of 11 overs would be 5 down, would be in with a real close game possibly here.
Well, I was saying yesterday that neither game was close yesterday. Northwest Warriors cantered home against the Northern Knights, and Leinster Lightning did even better against the Munster Reds. And I said, where's our next tight game coming from? We've only had 1.
Yep.
Which is too few.
Well, it actually is. Obviously, something you can't really control.
21?
We're game 21 here, yes. Game number 21, and we've had 1 final over game. So that would have been just the addition, if you could ask for a wish, just to add a few last over dramas.
Ben White, well, his third. It seemed to take forever for PJ Moore to dive there, but reeling in the years. He used to be a wicket keeper. We don't see him with the gloves on really anymore. Very athletic stuff from him. And yeah, it does feel like Stephen Doheny is sensing an opportunity. Why not hammer home the advantage? Tom May's in at number 7. They're trying to get rid of him quickly, so they're bringing on their trump card. Ben White, slip goes in.
Full toss, which is just knocked out into the leg side for 1. Yeah, we always talk about T20 cricket for batters, but bowlers as well. Yesterday struggled a little bit, White, but at the minute he's looking like the danger man for the Reds.
How's that one? Through Neil Rock, right up under the bat, looks to dig it out, doesn't manage it. He might have been brought on to get rid of Tom Mays, but he's done one even better. Got the captain. Neil Rock was scratching around a little bit. He was wanting to see his team home. Doesn't manage to do it. 10 from 15 for him. No boundaries in that innings, and strike rate. He was trying to do what you asked for, Ali McCalmont, trying to play the responsible role. And for him, unfortunately, he was just got out by a really good delivery. Ben White gets his 4th. Northern Knights in real trouble now. 117 for 6.
Yep, he's running through the Northern Knights for the 2nd time in this tournament is Ben White. He's the man that opened the floodgates. A really nice piece of bowling there. Bowls Neil Rock again, just for 10. 117 for 6. Yeah. Here's that piece of bowling here from White. Just outside the off stump. Neil Rock. Just get a little bit of an edge on that, possibly into the off stump.
Now, surely just turned a mile, Ali McCalmont.
You think?
I don't know. We'll have to ask the bowler. I don't think I'll be asking.
I'll be asking the bowler. I'll be asking the bowler for sure. There's another one on the deck.
No ball for me.
Yeah, Ben White. This follows through.
I just go back and think, Kate Carmichael getting out. That's. I know Paul Stirling got out, but he was continuing the way that they had started. So you really, especially for him, you really forgive him for getting out the way he did. He was looking to take Ben White down, but for Kate Carmichael, such an unusual, unforced error from him. It's really since that things have gone so wrong for the Northern Knights. Sean Davey doesn't manage to get a single off that, and a brilliant over from Ben White. Still got an over to go, just the 2 singles and a wicket. 4 for 20. 12 of those runs coming off his first 2 balls.
I'll tell you what, Isabel, looks like a minefield out there right now. I mean, what's happened here? I'll tell you. As I say, running away with the game earlier on, but the game's not won in the first 6 overs. Now we're looking at 117 for 6. And the Reds now, you'd have to say, an up victory here.
Oh my goodness, another one back to your Nabby gets his name on the score sheet in the wickets column. Tom Mays looking to punch it into the leg side, just clips the top of middle stump. And after the Northern Knights not being able to do any wrong in the first 4 overs, it's been all about the Munster Reds. Tom Mays, the latest to go too from just 3 deliveries. 117 for 7 now, the Northern Knights.
Like I've just said, looks like a minefield out there now. How to even get the ball off the square. Just playing back to this. Is there a little bit of turn? Not really. Not much. Just playing back to it, playing the wrong line. So Chris DeFried is playing a shot like that, trying to play too square. Punch that down the ground for me. But when you're just in, it's not as easy as that. That's the big problem for me. Just playing with one hand there, just possibly looking down the ground, and there's too many wickets and clusters here for the Northern Knights, and 117 for 7 now.
Do you know what? This is going to be a really funny looking bowling score sheet, isn't it? Because if you bowled at the start, you went absolutely the distance, and if you bowled after Ben White, then figures looking pretty good. Latest man in, looking to knock it around, is Matthew Humphreys. Hit a single and a 6 yesterday, but I was only in for a couple of balls. I was looking up there trying to decide who it was who'd come out, and I thought it's one of the left arm spinners. And I saw the moustache in the end.
Ground. Doheny. I thought for Stephen Doheny there. I'm sure he'd have been, his mind would have been whirring after 4 and a bit overs.
I wonder whose idea it was to bring on Ben White at the 5th over. Was it him or was it White? It's a shout, but outside the off stump. Shouldn't be given, isn't given. A little bit quicker from Nabby, just sensing that number 9 more likely to go for the sweep shots than probably down the ground, so quickens up. That's a nice connection.
Yep, Doheny will get there. Oh, it's another run out possibly. Oh, it could have been another run out. Not a mix up again. Just the basics of cricket here seem to have disappeared from Sydney Parade.
Well, the only thing I will say is it's hard to get a run out at the far end from that angle, because you have to miss the batters, you have to miss the stumps and all that, so the throw can't really be directly at the stumps. Another punch down the ground. He's calling for a second again. It shouldn't be, and it isn't. Picks up the ball this time to Stephen Doheny, and another good over from Bakhtir Nabi. There's this run out chance. The throw goes, in fact he threw it at Matthew Humphreys. Maybe it's what I was saying, where there's been a niggle between these teams. He's the guy you don't like playing against. No, I'm sure not.
Well, I think it might have been better if he was 2 yards to the right and it was heading towards the stumps, because never mind taking out the batter in terms of hitting him, if he might have been on his way, if it had been straight. There's a figure there, look. Last boundary. 30 balls ago, and in the last 5 overs, 27 for 3. And I'm actually surprised it's that many.
Another call of 2. They've decided that this is the way to go. Try and knock it around it, rather than try and reach the boundary, as they saw done so often in the first few overs. Going to try and get it in 1s and 2s. 58 from 41. So those slow couple of overs that we saw when it was Mays and, well, Ben Callets as well, and Neil Rock, just meaning that after a brilliant start they are actually behind.
Yeah, it's creeping up quite quickly now. Haven't been miles ahead. That'll help. It just gets round.
Yeah, Swapna Modgill. It felt like it was leaving him forever, but I suppose when you've got number 8 and 9 in, you're not expecting the power that you'd see from the top 6. Punch down the ground from Sean Davey.
He's got 2 balls to go. Ben White will be the first man to take 3 fifers in the T20 trophy. And Craig Young only 2 with 2 at the minute. 2 balls to do it. Matthew Humphries will counter one of them. Takes a single.
It's always good to know what the Duckworth-Lewis power score is, to see if you're behind or ahead. What's the Duckworth-Lewis power, do you reckon, Ali? You love my questions, don't you?
I love them. Love them. I'm going to go, I'd say 140.
133. So they're not far off. Much slower there from Ben White. A really good spell from him, game changing. And if the Munster Reds do go on and win this game, should be that man who gets player of the match. 4 for 26 from his 4 overs. He's bowled out now. You'd imagine Nabi will bowl his 4th and he'll be bowled out, and only 5 bowlers used so far, so it'll be back to seam unless anyone else can roll the arm over. Anyone else bowl a bit of spin out there. John McNally used to bowl a little bit of spin, but it was about when he was about 13, 14 years old, so I'm not sure we'll see that. Swapping on Modgill.
Definitely.
Suleiman Safi.
Safi.
They've got 2 of their off spinners in there. They could both bowl. You could finish the game with spin. So current run rate still above 9, and they only need to go up below 9, but it's been much slower since Ross Adair in particular got out. He'll dance down the pitch. He's a proper batter, Sean Davey, overseas pro from New Zealand. But Matthew Humphries, does he have the staying power?
He likes bat on ball, does Matthew Humphries.
So it is at that stage where singles are a win for the Munster Reds.
Yeah. It's actually got to the stage now where almost if the Knights get home now and win this game, that's edged. That'll be a big help. That'll be a big help for the Knights. It's going to run away for 4. First boundary in some time. Really needed.
Yeah, and they moved a man out of there as well. PJ Moore had gone from 3rd into mid-wicket because they're trying to put the squeeze on, trying to stop those 2s into the leg side, but it's cost them that boundary. Really flighted delivery, nice bounce. But Byron McDonough can't chase that down. Disappointing for the bowler there because it's a good piece of bowling. He's brave, took the pace off, albeit it's a lot easier to take the pace off now that you're bowling at these 2 rather than Ben Callets. Oh dear.
Oh.
No. Don't be doing that back to your Nabby. I was going to be talking about the breakfast that he had of getting back in the team, but now he's gone with a 4. Is a bit of bad luck, but that's some poor bowling.
Yeah.
Fired in, looking to bowl in the leg stump.
Not what was wanted there. Even so, I think Referees went outside off and makes it look even worse. 5 wides, following up a boundary. It could be another. Yep, it's going to go for another boundary. Well, what a big over this is turning out to be.
Yeah. 12, 13, 14, 15, 16.
16, yep.
16 with it 1 to go. I've seen this game turn so many times. 1 over can change it either way. Ben White changed it with 2 wickets and 1 over, but now Nabi needs to find a way to either take a wicket or at the very least only go for 1. And he just managed to go for a dot, so good outcome for him. Maybe don't throw it next time. Back to your Nabi. 4 overs gone, 1 for 37, so that over really spoiling things. He's only gone for 21 before that. And Northern Lights back in with a chance, 37 from 30 required.
Well, yeah, the point I was sort of about to make just before that first boundary went was I actually almost reached the stage in this game now where if the Knights do get over the line, it'll just highlight even more what a mess they'd made of it. That sort of 8 and 9 can come in and do what they're doing right now, pick up boundaries occasionally, but keep it ticking over. If they even get close now, it'll just ramp up that. How did we manage to get into this situation? Liam McCarthy, who comes back. Probably we're getting into the last 5. Probably a better time for him to bowl now. Conversely, as I say, you've got 8 and 9 at the crease now, both on 11. It's going to be Sean Davey to face up first. Nicely played off his hip. Going to push for 2. PJ Moore with the ball. Comes the throw, but Davey comes back. Gets 2.
Yeah, that's a good call because PJ Moore, a wicketkeeper, usually don't have bullet arms wicketkeepers, so he took the gamble, Sean Davey, and came back for the second. Useful too to start things off in the over. Well bowled. Good hard length. I think he's maybe thinking the short ball's coming his way, Sean Davey. Feet stuck in mud. Wasn't ready for the fuller delivery.
Robertson and Kennedy to come for the Knights. Still 35 required.
And again, Liam McCarthy, not for 25 in his first 2 overs. He's up and about now. Bit of a spring in the step.
Yeah, definitely. Could be the same for his teammates as well in the Reds here. There's 2 wins in the tournament so far.
It's spoil it for the others' time for the Munster Reds. You know, it's Northern Knights and the Northwest Warriors looking to get that second spot, and if the Munster Reds do manage to beat the Northern Knights here, they've opened the door for the Warriors. Oh, that's not what's needed. He's lucky actually that was only a wide and didn't get anything on that, Sean Davey.
Yeah, well, that's right. They can finish the tournament now with a couple of wins themselves, but it'll certainly affect the table. Got the Warriors come tomorrow.
Oh, big thick edge, and a bit of luck goes the way of Sean Davey. He was looking over mid-off, goes over the keeper, and Liam McCarthy just can't get any luck.
Yeah, can't catch a break right now.
all the cupboards in the house to see can get a bit of luck.
Yeah, trying to go over towards the clubhouse, but it's the thinnest of edges that can go wide of the keeper.
Do you know what? If you're short of a bit of luck in cricket with your batting, this is the man you want to come up against, Liam McCarthy, because he's just nothing going his way.
2 balls in this over to rectify that. He goes leg side again. Picks out Safi, so no run.
Yeah, that hangs in in terms of the success of this over, pretty much all hangs on this delivery. That wide, is it going to be costly? Oh dear.
Oh, they're going. I thought they were going to get a single in the end, but good work from only on the far boundary as well to back that up again. Make sure it doesn't go for one. So actually, in the end, probably an over that comes out even Stevens. Really, the Premier bowler doesn't get a wicket, so that'll please the Knights, but also doesn't go for too many runs, which will please the Reds, and we're still in the melting pot a little bit here. Going to turn back to Baron McDonough now. He got a little bit of a tap earlier on, as we've talked about quite a bit, but 30 off 24 is the requirement.
Yeah, just above 7.
Yeah,
just above 7, and they got 8 in that over.
Yep.
So doing their job, but one good over either way could swing it very easily. It's that type of number. Humphreys on strike, McDonough with ball in hand. Where has this gone?
Chance.
Down to third, out, back to your Nabby. How did it go straight to him? If that was Liam McCarthy, that's sailing for 6, but it's not. It's Byron McDonough who makes the breakthrough. He's done it a couple of times now. Matthew Humphreys, I don't know where he was trying to put that, but in the end he's found third. He's done well. 11 from 10.
He's just been told to wait here for a second. I'm not sure what for. Been told he doesn't need to wait now. Yeah, trying to play that leg side ramp. Yeah, really where he's got that too. Carried a long way down. Now be underneath it. Takes the catch, and it's 8 down now for the Northern Knights. That little partnership broken.
This is, I'm kind of hoping that he manages to do okay here, Cian Robertson, because we haven't had a nail biter this week. We've only had one in the tournament. It's hard to fathom how this has gone so wrong for the Northern Knights. They still do have a chance. Definitely, it's chaseable. Especially while Davey is there. He needs to get on strike, and probably at this stage it's about him maybe hitting a few boundaries. Johnny Kennedy is having a walk over to Simon Johnson in the deep. I don't know what. I think there might have been a few words there with Matthew Humphreys.
Yeah, I'm just going to have a look at that. He's walked all the way around. Yeah, not sure what has happened there.
Bit of afters after
Possibly.
the way Humphreys was carrying on earlier.
That's a good shot. Yeah,
beautiful.
That might take out Simon Johnston and Johnny Kennedy. It's right beside them there. You get a bit of a look at that. Nice shot.
About these Interpro teams, you don't really get an out and out number 10 and 11. Cian Robertson. No mug with the bat, gets a little bit of width. Gets the hands through, uses the pace.
Conversation that you see on screen there is now concluded. Johnny Kennedy making his way back, but a nice start to the innings for Robertson. Continues there. It's a leg side single. So yeah, they're still okay if Davies there, you would think. Still got a chance. The run rate's not out of the question.
Yeah, that boundary's just taken the pressure off Davey, because if it hadn't been a dot or a 1, he'd be thinking, I need to get a boundary in the over.
Well, he goes big again, but looking to go down the ground, and in the end the shorter ball means he hits it out to McNally at the cover boundary. So they've got 6 from the over, but as we mentioned, lost that wicket off the first delivery.
Well, we were talking about it at the break, weren't we? Cricket, the great leveller. This ball, if it goes for 4, Byron McDonough head and hands, wicket goes the other way. It's going to be a single. Oh dear, 4. Oh, that's not what's required from the Munster Reds. Just took his eyes off it. Suleiman Safi in the deep.
Yeah, he felt the pressure as the ball was heading out to him. It was going a good lick. You just feel the pressure coming about here as the ball comes out, but yeah, just...
Oh no, still moving.
Yep, still on the move indeed. Exacerbated by the fact that the ball can't be found now, so everybody's got plenty of time to think about that.
Everyone looking at me.
Yeah.
Thinking.
Means there's now 10 off the over. Runs to win, balls remaining. Almost par now.
Suleiman Safi just hanging his head out in the distance. Bar McDonough. The good thing about that break looking for the ball was that he can maybe get the heart rate back down, the anger in check. Needs to close out the over. Just 20 from 19 required now.
Oh, right back at him and a chance.
I had no idea where the ball was gone there.
A chance for McDonough there. One of those ones that possibly wasn't hit. If it had been hit cleanly, you might have had a better chance actually of taking it because your action might have kicked in, but just in your follow through when somebody miscues it like that, sort of the timing is a little bit difficult. But it was a chance to take his wicket. See it again here now. Just a miscue from Robertson.
A big full toss, slower ball. Oh dear, you have to take that. So 2 misfields and 2 balls, really costly for the Munster Reds. It's cost them 4 runs overall because it would have been a 1 down to Safi had he not misfielded. And it's cost them the wicket there as well.
Kane Robertson on 10 off just 4.
19 from 18. They can do this in singles if they want to. Liam McCarthy to bowl his final one, the penultimate. Cuts him in half.
Right through him. You just say they can do this in singles if they want to. When have you known Northern Knights to do anything that is nice and simple?
I was wondering why the little gasp. That is so close, but it's Liam McCarthy bowling, so of course it doesn't hit the stumps.
An extra little bounce over the stumps there indeed. Nicely played by Robertson. It should just be 1.
McDonough does well.
Fielding, yep. This will tell you here now, I think. Davy's been quite aggressive in terms of coming down the wicket or trying to hit boundaries.
Yeah, but that was when they needed more than a run of ball.
Does he change that now and decide, look, we've got number 10 in here? That seems to be the way.
McNally needs to try and get into this. Sean Davey not taking any risks. So there you go. That's your answer.
I think so.
I think someone had put down a 4 there, had they? And it looked like it was 14 from 15, but it's 17 from 15.
Yeah.
So you still need just slightly more than a run of ball, but you'll fancy that maybe you'll get a bit of luck, maybe an edge for 4. You'll get a bad ball you can put away. So until that happens, it's go at 1s. And Liam McCarthy finally gets one through. Visceral from him. Desperate for that wicket, desperate to stand up while his team needs him. Should have had 9 down last over. They do now. Munster Reds. Every time the game looks like it's getting away from them, they find a way back. Robertson 11 from 7. Nice little cameo, but maybe just not quite enough. 2 boundaries. 164 for 9.
Yeah, practices the shot there, but again, trying to hit McCarthy. I was just about to say he's got 3 balls left in McCarthy. Talking about singles, do we just make sure he doesn't take a wicket here? That's right on the off stump and playing across the line a little bit. Would you've got out to that ball? You're just trying to knock it around for 1s. That brings Adam Kennedy out. His first bat in the tournament. Number 11. A little bit of smart cricket required here from Adam Kennedy, I think. Sean Davey 17 needed. It's not an astronomical amount for one batter to get on his own. I think Davy's going to have to do it here. Can Kennedy keep him on strike?
Oh,
well, he does.
Just gets the bat down in time. That was a right delivery from Liam McCarthy. Gave himself every opportunity. I wonder, does he have a Reuben Wilson leg stump Yorker in him?
This was just in time. That's a very, if you actually look at that, a very, very similar ball. Honing in on off stump to the one that got Cian Robertson. He was playing an aggressive stroke. Tries that Yorker, Isabel Joyce. He tried it. But Kennedy's up to it. Keeps it out. Just about keeps the Knights afloat. 17 needed from 2 overs. And those eggs look to be firmly in Sean Davy's basket.
He has the opportunity to be the hero here. He really does, Sean Davy. And if he had a couple of wickets in hand, you'd say he wouldn't be worried at all with the situation as it is. 17 from 12. You try and do the damage this over. I always say don't leave it to the last. You don't want more than 8 in the last over. So you've got to try and get a boundary in this one. It's going to be Byron McDonough who's given the job of trying to close out the 19th.
Quick shout out here now. What's the call on a run out here? See it often. Somebody's trying to win a game. Communication. Should be a communication between the 2 batters. This is our plan between the wickets. Are we going for 1s or 2s? What's the plan?
Goes the ramp. Sean Davy, not a bad option, and actually it was there to hit, but doesn't look like doesn't really look like a shot, does it? 45 up.
Yeah, but that's it. We're down to a period now where the last 2 overs, a couple of boundaries here will really change everything, but you got to get those boundaries with just 1 wicket in the hutch. Goes downtown this time.
What a piece of fielding from Stephen Doheny. Takes the catch, but he's up in the air over the rope, has to throw it back in. They will come back for 2. Has that just kept them in the game here?
Well, it's right in front of us here. He doesn't have the opportunity to do the acrobatic catch and throw up again because he's in the air. Terrific piece of fielding though. Saves 4 runs, and that could be very important. 6 would have really changed things. McDonough again. Gone.
Out. That's it. That's the win for Munster Reds. Gets it to come back into Davy. He practices the shot, but he can practice all he likes. The game is over. Munster Reds, that's got to be one of the greatest comebacks in interprovincial T20 history. Defending 181. 60 without loss after 4 Northern Knights in the chase, and they managed to lose all 10 wickets in the ensuing 14.5 overs. Ben White started the rot, but all the bowlers contributing there, even the bowlers that went around the ground at the start, coming back at the end and taking wickets. They kept it under wraps. Munster Reds kept hold of their emotions. They held their nerve longest. It was Northern Knights who blinked, and Munster Reds, they just seem to have a knack of knocking over the Northern Knights.
Well, let's not underestimate that piece of fielding from Stephen Doheny. That ball goes for 6 and he doesn't do that acrobatic piece of fielding, and it goes for 6. Maybe Sean Davy reins it in a little bit, doesn't try and hit the next ball as well. Maybe just looks for a 2. So that's actually ended up helping out. And also, let's back up Byron McDonough, who kept the ball on the stumps, picks up the last wicket. See that last wicket now. He bowls to Davy, and again, Sean Davy trying to hit a boundary. Kept his lines. Hits the off stump. Up comes the finger, and the celebration from Byron McDonough. He's done well after a pretty chastening start. You'd say that for the Reds in total.
Do you know what, as well, the ball before, you talked about it already, Stephen Doheny's acrobatics. I think the fact that he was able to keep it in meant that Sean Davy tried to overhit that ball, didn't trust his technique, so he just came across it a little bit, looking to muscle it, trying to get the full 6 runs this time. So 14-run victory, and the Munster Reds, well, they can thank their middle order. Laru and Hilton each passed the landmark of 50 and a really quick pace as well. Hilton in particular, impressive 50 from 22. It was started by Modgill and Moore, who made 25 and 21, and then the middle order, Laru and Hilton, elevating them up to 180, what we thought was about par.
Yeah, we did think that was about par. Again, lost one in the opening over. Modgill and Moore in the power play steadied the ship a little bit with 48, but it is that partnership between the two young guns, Laru and Hilton. 50 of the partnership to Hilton. Laru 43, a total of 94, and it kind of petered away a little bit after that, but it's ended up being enough for the Reds.
Northern Knights will have been pretty pleased with their bowling. Adam Kennedy aside, he went for 40 in just 2 overs. So he was put to the sword by those two young guns. Bowlers up top, very impressive. Tom Maids in particular, too, for just 21 in his 4 wickets as well for Davy, and 3 for Matthew Humphreys. Robertson, a little bit expensive, 42 in his 4.
Yeah, Northern Knights, a difficult card to really explain. 2 top of the order, Sterling and Adair went off like an express train. 32 from 12 and 39 from 19, well ahead of the game. But when Ross Adair went, Carmichael and Topping went cheaply, and then it was difficult to see them sort of recovering from that, and sort of nobody really got going. Rock for 10, and it was only Sean Davey at the end with 21 that gave them a hope.
Really good partnership at the top once more, 72 between Sterling and Ross Adair. Sterling went in the 5th over, and Carmichael followed him soon after, and just a few partnerships of note. 28 between Rock and Callets as they tried to work it around and get themselves back in the game, but Munster Reds kept taking wickets. When Davy and Humphreys were together, you thought they had a chance, but no real partnerships of note after that opening one.
Tale of 2 bowling cards really at the start. McDonough and McCarthy and McNally were going round the park, as we say, but a really good comeback from the Reds. It was Ben White who opened the door in the 5th over. He took a couple of wickets. He ended up with 4 for 26, a great return for the leg spinner again against the Knights. But little kudos to McDonough and McCarthy, who came back at the end there. McDonough ended up with 3 for 40, and McCarthy with the big wicket in the 19th. So
an enthralling encounter between the Munster Reds and the Northern Knights. It went both ways a couple of times, but it was the Munster Reds through the bowling of Ben White. 4 for 26 for him, backed up by the seamers at the end. McDonough 3 for 40, and it was set up earlier on by Laru and Hilton. 51 and 50 for them in what was a brilliant encounter between the team in blue and the team in red. Munster Reds came out on top of that one by 14 runs. We'll catch our breath for a little while, catch a little bit of food as well, but we'll be back at 3:45 as the Warriors look to see can they jump ahead of the Northern Knights in the table. They get the opportunity against the Lightning. It'll be stiff opposition, but they're the 2 teams that have won a fixture so far yesterday. Make sure you join us just before 3:45 for that one. Until then, good afternoon.